ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੀ ਹਵਾ ਵੀ ਹੋਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਵੱਲ ਦੀ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਵੱਲ ਦੀ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੱਲ ਦੀ ਉਹ ਬਦਲੇ ਜੇ ਕੱਲ ਵੀ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਕਰ ਜਵਾਨੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਐ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਚਾਰ ਪਹਿਰ ਕਰਾ ਬੈਠੀਆਂ ਨਾ ਯਾਰੀ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਅਸਲੇ ਨਾ ਲੈਸ ਤੂੰ ਤਿਆਰੀ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਥੱਲੇ ਕਾਲੀ ਵੈਗਨ ਸਵਾਰੀ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਮਿੱਤਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਬਿੱਲੋ ਸਰਦਾਰੀ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਮਿੱਤਰਾਂ ਦੀ ਬਿੱਲੋ ਸਰਦਾਰੀ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਮਿੱਤਰਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਗੱਡੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਪਿਆਰ ਕੇ ਦੀ ਉਹਨੇ ਨੀਂਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਸੌਂਦੀ ਤੂੰ ਲੱਗੀ ਯਾਰੀ ਜੱਟਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੁੰਡੀ ਨਾ ਪੀਵੇ ਰੋਟੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਟਰੈਕ ਤੇ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਟੋਲੀਆਂ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ ਸੰਦ ਬੈਕ ਤੇਰੀ ਪੁੱਕਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੋਢੇ ਤੂੰ ਸਪਿੱਟ ਕਰਾਂ ਬੈਕ ਤੇ ਜੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਮਹਿਕ ਦੀ ਮਹਿਕਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੱਜਦਾ ਏ ਫੂਕਦੀ ਆ ਬੈਕ ਦੀ ਕਿਉਂ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਪਤਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਤੂੰ ਲੱਗ ਯਾਰੀ ਜੱਟਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੁੰਡੀ ਨਾ ਹੁਣ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਵੀਰੇ ਨੀਂਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਚੇ ਚ ਨਾਮ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਟ੍ਰੈਂਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਫੇਰੀ ਰੱਖੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਗੋਡੇ ਤੇ ਬੈਂਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਕਣੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਨਾ ਪੱਟੂ ਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਪੈਂਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਹਿਲੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਕਰਾਉਂਦਾ ਰੈਂਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਚੇ ਚ ਨਾਮ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਟ੍ਰੈਂਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਫੇਰੀ ਰੱਖੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਗੋਡੇ ਤੇ ਬੈਂਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਕਣੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਨਾ ਪੱਟੂ ਲਾਉਂਦਾ ਪੈਂਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਹਿਲੀਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਕਰਾਉਂਦਾ ਐਂਡ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੂਰਾ ਦੀ ਜੋੜੀ ਇੱਕ ਰੱਖੀ ਬੈਗ ਤੇ ਕੰਮ ਦੇ ਨੇ ਦਿਲ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੇ ਸ਼ੀਸ਼ਾ ਤੇ ਕੰਨ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਸੁਣ ਤੇਰੀ ਮਜ਼ਰੈਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਫਾਰਮ ਟਰੈਕ ਸਾਡੇ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਬੱਚਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਮਾਨ ਜੱਟ ਤੇ ਹਾਰ ਆਖਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਜਾਵਾਂ ਜਿੱਤ ਗਏ ਹੁਣ ਸੋਚਣਾ ਨਾ ਜੱਟ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਕੀਨ ਮੁੱਟ ਤੋਂ ਅੰਪ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਡੌਲੇ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਹੱਥ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੌਲੇ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸਹਿਬ ਗੋਰੀਏ ਵੀ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੋਲੇ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਲੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਪੁੱਛ ਰੰਜ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਮਾਰੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਲੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਪੁੱਛ ਰੰਜ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਮਾਰੇ ਡੱਬੀ ਭਰੇ ਫਿਰਾਂ ਫੀਮ ਜਮਾ ਕਾਲੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਗੁਮਾ ਸਰੇ ਆਮ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਦੁਨਾਲੀ लेके चक्या पूरा जिम्मा वैरियां की फ्यूनरल का खुद पहुंचा करा कफनों पर गाली लेके और पट्टी वाले छट्टी लागे केस छोरी पेश होए नी मामे करे चेस छोरी सीखा जेल में ते जादू यो बंगाल वाला बंदा मार दे वहां बदल के पेश छोरी शहर दी हवा भी होई साडे वाल दी ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਵੱਲ ਦੀ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੱਲ ਦੀ ਉਹ ਬਦਲੇ ਜੇ ਕੱਲ ਵੀ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਕਰ ਜਵਾਨੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਐ ਚੱਲਦੀ ਹੱਥ ਪਿਆ ਉਤੜੇ ਰਕਾਨੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਰਫ ਨੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਥੋੜੇ ਟਫ ਨੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਫ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਨਈਆਂ ਪਾਮਰੀਡੀਆਂ ਨਾ ਖੇਡਦੇ ਬਲਾਫ ਨੇ ਨੇਚਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਜੋਗੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਝੋਲੀਆਂ 'ਚ ਸੱਪ ਨੇ ਐਲੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਤੂੰ ਗੈਲੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਦੇਖੀ ਨੀ ਹੁਣੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਤੂੰ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਦੇਖੀ ਨੀ ਸੋਹਣੀਏ ਘਰਾਲੇ ਤੋਂ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਯਾਰ ਦੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਵਾਲੇ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਤੂੰ ਐਲੇ ਵਾਲੇ ਦੇਖੇ 40 ਤੇ ਮੱਠੀ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਸਪੀਡ ਗਾਣੇ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ 'ਚ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਰਿਪੀਟ ਕੋਈ ਕੰਡੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਬਾਡੀ ਛੱਡਦੇ ਆ ਹੀਟ ਸਿਰ ਖਿਲਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਪੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਝੜ ਗਈ ਆ ਨੀਟ ਨਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਦਿਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਾਕੀ ਬੈਠਾਂਗੇ ਤੂੰ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਤਕਰਾਰ ਕਰੇਗੀ ਦਿਲ ਲੈ ਤੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਕਰੇ ਨਾ ਕਰੇ ਪਿੱਛੋਂ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਨੇ ਵਾਰ ਕਰੇਗੀ ਕਹੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਏ ਕਾਰ ਮੁੱਟ ਤੋਂ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਬੰਨੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਾਹਰੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਏ ਹੁਣ ਮੋਜਣਾ ਨਾ ਜੱਟ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਕੀਨ ਮੁੱਟ ਤੋਂ ਕਾਰੀ ਅੜੀਆਂ ਕਰੇਗੀ ਨੀ ਮਲਾਏ ਨੂੰ ਖਿੱਚ ਕੇ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਦੀ ਤੂੰ ਇੰਜ ਚੈੱਕ ਕਰ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਦੀ ਤੂੰ ਰੇਂਜ
हेलो गाइस सबको हाई वेलकम टू द स्ट्रीम अंदर की हाई गाइस परेशान में जरा इतला स्टोरी ला भेटे असता अच्छा कुछ ना चलने लगी आया भाई सब लोग डबल टैप करो भाई संदर्भ से डबल टैप जाए स्ट्रीम नहीं अशोक ఒకసారి మెయిన్ స్ట్రీమ్ కూడా ఒకసారి పెట్టచ్చు లింక్ Honorary curator, hello, bhai. Welcome to the stream. Thomas, thanks for the subscribe. चलो लाइव चालू हो गया लाइव स्टार्ट है इन्हें ऊपर इशार चेंजेस ना स्क्रीन में चलो
See, I do feel like it's been a real struggle of a tournament, even for the heavy hitters in Paper Rex. They went out 2-0. One last team left to do it for the region that I love so much.
I still think that is a healthy thing to happen, that throughout the year we have different teams coming up and peaking at different times. It is incredibly difficult to choose when you're peaking, where your performance is at best. And the most difficult thing is to make that last for as long as possible. No team can do that so far about it.
Yeah, part of the $2 million prize pool for those teams that have qualified on in. The 4 EMEA squads out of 5, and it's 2 for 2 so far for Americans with 2 more teams up left for grabs here in later on action. Now, before we turn our focus to our final day 6 and Group C,
thanks for subscribe, man.
action from yesterday's matches, day 5 with Group A and B doing their decider matches, as we had a heck of a day about yesterday and booking 2 more tickets on in.
Yeah, I mean, bangers. BBL against EDG to open up the day, and BBL came out swinging. This is one of the most dominant games that we've seen. It was looking for a time that they were going to 13-0 EDG, which just doesn't happen. That's not something to take lightly. I was so impressed by the young Turkish.
Yeah, and we had been talking about how EDG was
One second, guys.
one of their coaches not having the entirety of the roster, but it didn't really matter when it came to the compositions, to everything that they tried out, and it definitely maybe made that impression in BBL, feeling like they could take advantage of the situation. Someone that has been taking advantage of the entire situation the entire time has been LaRock. This kid on your screen right now.
The stand up, the sit down, get rude with it, get disrespectful. That's when this team really shines their brightest. So I can't wait to see that on the big stage with a full crowd there. You know they're going to play up.
And yesterday, it was not only about LaRock. Everybody in BBL had their moments. I believe Kreven at some point was like 13, 14, 1. It was absolutely crazy coming from this. Completely flawless defense there on Lotus. And then when we moved on to Breeze, the momentum was there. It was difficult to just be an spectator and think that EDG was standing a chance after map 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think for EDG, they showed signs of life this tournament, but ultimately just not enough in this final game here. They will be heading home early in the group stage from 3rd place in Masters London. A fantastic placement for them. They can't replicate that performance here at EWC, and I felt like in the server, you could see why they were a little bit slow. The macro wasn't as coordinated as we've seen from them in the past.
And also we got to hear from LaRock. He spoke about how stage 1 was, how they couldn't recover as fast enough, but BBL, the agents that made them so good, and how they couldn't recover as fast enough, but BBL, this BBL is here to stay, and this is the performance that they've
give us
for the rest of 2026.
The youngest roster here at EWC
इसको पैर को क्या हुआ बे?
second youngest player
Power खाली repair नहीं?
moving on here in BBL. Here was our second matchup though. It was
Oh,
NRG
भाई.
versus KC, Americas versus EMEA, trying to hold off the blue wall from making it in front of their fans here in Paris.
अरे इसका screen change नहीं किया, sorry guys.
World champs were able to do so.
It's too soon. Morgan, you do this. It's too soon for me. It's too soon. I know that for you, you're kind of used to saying goodbye to your teams.
That's
but
crazy. But I will take it to help you out. No, look, I think KC, they put up a great fight. This was a team I was so excited by. Coming off that win against Paper Rex,
Easy, man.
it felt like it was meant to be. It felt like there could have been magic here in Paris for the French
Easy, man.
but NRG put a swift stop to that.
Yeah, we got Ethan again playing on the duelist, which I think was one of the best parts that we're getting here in EWC. We had seen it in the past here and there, but it was an exception, and now it looks like it's kind of working for them in some of the maps and the compositions that they want to play. He fits in so well. Fracture, though, was a different type of thing. We're also saying kind of sad for KC since this map is going out of the pool when they go back into EMEA, because he was looking incredibly strong. Narrate on the Phoenix has been an absolute pleasure to watch from the moment that he started playing it for KC.
For me, it was all about that defender side macro. They look like one of the most well-drilled Fracture teams we've seen. Looked like they truly understood the map. It feels like they found this too little too late, to be honest. You know, imagine if they were way up picking Fracture every series the whole year.
You can't do that. With KC, that you just did, you can't. It's very difficult. It is heartbreaking because the potential is there. The names are there. The fans are there. And it has to be so difficult to be one of them.
Yeah, I do feel for them. They're not getting to watch their team play on that big stage. But on the side of NRG, as this series progressed, we move towards that third map. I do feel like they were for sure the stronger team. NRG are just, they showed their class in my mind. They are one of the oldest squads in the tournament here. And that comes with experience. That comes with wisdom. You know, this is the core of the squad that lifted that champs trophy last year, so they really do know their way around a tricky best of 3.
Yep, second oldest squad, only behind G2, but NRG showing the experience here, despite the fact that KC seemed to be a solid Haven team, and the way that the map pools worked out in terms of map bans, it seemed like, okay, if we get to a third map, we're going to see a very even straight-up game, but NRG just blitzed them throughout that first half, and it was just too big of a mountain to climb for KC.
The composition might have been a surprise. The confidence that we were also seeing, the way that they were moving around the map with Ethan just being like, okay, that is not here. The mid-run calls were enjoyable to watch, which is something that doesn't really happen in EMEA much. So I'm happy to see that this is the energy that we're getting this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Ethan on that Neon, he called well. But the individual fragging, that's incredibly exciting. You can see the differences across these teams throughout the tournament. NYBR, super hot and cold. One dominant game, one game getting stomped. AG, I think that their story is also really interesting. I thought they had it in them in that Heretics game.
Yeah, they were the ones that got the closest.
Yeah, but then they beat Global, but it's closer than I would have liked to see. And then, of course, that fantastic rematch where Nongshim did get the better of G2 this time. It's them looking for revenge.
You also have to give something to Global. You know, I think that the first match for everybody is difficult. There are teams that hit the ground running. It is how it is. And I think the All Gamers against Heretics was one of those teams who were so surprised with the individual performances, with the comps that they were playing, and how at no moment they were scared of looking for those duels. Probably, and still, the most enjoyable match that we have had this year.
Ooh, strong words there from Kukua as we take a look at that bracket here of our first series and the journey on how we got there. As you said, it was AGAL pushing pretty far, but still falling a little short of Team Heretics. And then on the opposite, everyone played AJAL, who just didn't show up at EWC, and I think now is going to be a very good learning lesson between MIBR and AGAL. Two squads that did great work against Team Heretics, but ultimately fell short.
You know, I'm very, very interested in this game for me. I also think the styles definitely run quite differently overall, so I think this is a great matchup to watch. I think AGAL, for me, still the underdogs just based on the whole year of performance. But for me personally, at this tournament, I think they've played fantastic Valorant. They've shown that they are capable of winning this game, but for me, execution on the day, and I just want to see that step up in level, because when you make it to the playoffs, it only gets harder from here, so you really have to earn it.
And if that Team Heretics versus AG match was something to go by, knowing and being aware of the absolute amazing firepower that is in MIBR, this should be also one of the best matches. Here's where we're having the bracket from Group D. Deegan, as you were saying, Team Heretics going all the way, almost flawlessly. In fact, the only map that they dropped was against All Gamers. And now we're here in the MIBR loss versus All Gamers all.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting in these this GSL style format where you get to see, Valorant is not transitive realistically, right? MRBR blow out Global, and then AG have a close game against them, but AG have a very close game against Heretics, but MRBR get blown out by them. So it really just goes to show you that style is everything. It's not I beat you, you beat them. It's very, very much more complex than that. So that's make this game all the more exciting because it's a real coin flip for me, and I think I can't predict which way this will go.
Yeah. I think it goes to how they're feeling on the day. That's very important. The fun that they're having onto stage. Those crazy rounds, so many rounds. The margin has been so incredibly slow. We've had sneaky diffuses, incredible clutches coming from every single one of the teams. Many throws in rounds that were unforgivable to lose. So that is what I'm expecting to see today, all of those.
Yeah, MIBR Los, a combination between MIBR and the organization Los. And the reason for that important is that it's part of the club championship, the larger overall scheme of EWC. So hoping for a big performance from this Valorant squad, normally known as MIBR, that hit 4th place at kickoff, 5th, 6th at stage 1 for Americas. So falling short of both in internationals, but have a roster full of firepower.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. These are big, big names in this squad. You got Aspas, you got Zekken. These are guys that have been known to be fantastic, that are world leaders in what they do. So when this MIBR roster came together, it very much felt like this was a squad that should be pushing for international titles consistently.
Absolutely.
But they haven't found that yet in Americas. We see them here at EWC and they've looked good, but they also show that little bit of weakness. It's, for me, I'm wondering when it's all going to click, when it comes together, when these names on paper jump out from us into the server and deliver that performance that was promised.
Can I be honest with you? I think that if it's not today, we have a problem.
Yeah.
I think that we do have a problem. Are you looking at this roster? Aspas, Zekken, Bruno, Tex, and Mazzino, they should be blowing out the stage no matter who they play against. And especially when we talk about raw firepower and just crazy duels and whatnot. You have Aspas and Zekken. Like, are we losing it?
Yeah.
Like, do we live on the same planet? Have we been watching the same game, the same competitions, and whatnot? This should have been a very successful roster, and they should be incredibly favored to win today. But at the same time, you have no gamers that can just play like, oh, we're the underdogs, we're just gonna do crazy shit, and if you lose, it's on you.
Yeah, I mean, look, they embraced that mentality in the Heretics game, and it worked beautifully for them.
Yeah, let's dive into this all-gamers roster. The player that jumped out at me the most was GRQ, the young kid who stepped on up in that first series and made it a very tight, close series with Team Heretics when he was on Phoenix. Because in their second series, he was on smokes, and all of a sudden it was a lot more stunted. It allowed Kira to be more comfortable, but his impact was way, way less.
Yeah, this is a team that definitely feels like they have flexibility. So when they're making these comms, they feel like, oh, well, you can move here, you move here, you move here. And yes, people might feel like they can do it, but that performance from GRQ on the Phoenix was night and day. Like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. He's the one for me where if they're going to get the squad, if they're going to get it done today, I want to see him come back to life. I want to see that big performance. But normally, historically, when we talk about this team, Fangear is the one.
And Kira.
Yeah.
Both of them.
But they've not really been here as much. They weren't the talking point. So I think there's room for them as well to begin to step up and really take it to MIBR on the other
I
side.
think that we were too impressed by GRQ on the Kira on the first day. To me, he has to be like Django, completely unchanged. You do not want to put him on Omen. Come on, you love that reference.
That's
Yeah, I'm cooking. Today it is the day. But seriously, I think that once you give him that freedom, if he's giving you so much, do you want to put him in a more supportive role like Omen? Do not get me wrong, there's so many aggressive things that you can do with Omen. I would love for GRQ to be one of those that is just deep in your back that you do not understand. I sometimes see Valim doing those kind of things, and I'm like, man, I want players like GRQ doing those type of things. And even though you're playing a supportive agent, to feel like you have the agency to take this kind of risks and define the round, even if you're playing Omen.
Yeah, that's the thing that has been fun to watch them balance his raw gun skills, but then also someone's got to be the smokes, and if smokes dying first, it makes it very difficult to do any sort of entry here. As watching this team evolve is going to be fun.
If they want to play like that, they should ask FPX from a few years ago or Navi. They should message Angel. How does my team win with no smokes?
That must have been how they practiced. No, it is a fine line.
That was free. I'm sorry, Angel.
It is a fine line,
crazy.
right? Because very much, especially if you're having to swap mid mid-series. You know, you go from having these fantastic games on Phoenix where you are pushing the limits, and then it only takes a couple rounds where you try push the limits on Omen, you get shut down, your team will just lose the round as a result, and then it's so easy to get in your own head, especially you're a younger player, you're playing with something to prove. It's hard to manage. So I hope if they do go for those kind of swaps again, they can pull it off a little bit more smoothly here today.
All right, well, we have the players on stage. You could see Aspas in full recline mode, getting itself comfortable for the matchup here against AGAL. Again, only one of these teams will be moving on as the second seed from Group D to the playoffs to join those 8 slots to play in person on the main stage.
And do not forget, when the day is over today, we will have the draw show. So you have to stick around so you find out who is going to be playing against who in playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, that's all important. You know, these matchups really do decide everything, but only if you're able to make it. A loss today will send you packing before you get a shot at that big stage. Heartbreaking, soul-crushing for either of these squads, but we have to say goodbye to one of them. So I want to know, Digon, who's your money on?
Ooh, yeah, because we've been pitching and whatnot, but we want to know what impression are we making on you?
I think for me, it's about MIBR hitting the stride that they should be hitting, right?
Exactly.
AGAL are trying to figure it out. MIBR, they know who they are. They need to play on that. And will it be GRQ in the smokes? That's the other thing, and it looks like it will be.
Exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Digon. I need to see this MIBR reach their potential. It's that double duelist coming out. Aspas on the waylay, Zekken on the raise here. Over on the side of All Gamers, as you said, it does look like GRQ going to be sticking with the Omen here. They also have that double duelist, but they're swapping it out for the Neon instead of that waylay on the other side and rocking with the Vice over the Cypher. So I think very, similar approaches, but slightly different here. I think it is hard to hold of that Vice when there's a waylay coming at you.
Yeah, I was literally thinking of that, thinking about how yesterday BBL swapped into the Cypher just to make sure that Kankan had no freedom. And honestly, if I was going up against Aspas, I would think the same thing. I want to neutralize their movement or try and limit it as much as possible. So even though we've been talking about GRQ and whatnot, I want to see also a little bit of the cheekiness.
Yes.
I want to see the aggression. I want to see them taking advantage of them and go on the hunt for techs.
MIBR went way deep in overtime against Team Heretics on Lotus. It was just a constant barreling down C. We'll see what is in store here for MIBR and AGAL as they play for this final slot in Group D for Valorant EWC 2026. On the call, it's Tom and Mitch.
Thank you, Digon. The Group D decider ready to kick off. And MIBR back on Lotus. Like Digon said, it was a laborious affair up against Heretics. But before that, we saw them dominate GE. We know this is a good map for MIBR. The question, Tom, is do you think AG can match up to them here?
I think it's going to be a difficult one. I think AG have sort of surprised me throughout with their resilience versus what I will say is decent teams. Like they've kind of had not any massively dominant victories, but they've been fairly consistent. Like they weren't blown out by Heretics whatsoever, and then they managed a close victory versus GE. Whereas you look at the other side, and you got MIBR utterly dominant on their day, and then absolutely obliterated not on their day. So it almost kind of comes down more so to, are MIBR going to be that world beater team, or are they going to have a rougher start? And can All Gamers almost force them into a spot where they're struggling a little bit more? Because, as I said, I think of the two teams, All Gamers so far have been a little bit more consistent.
Well, we heard about the hunt for tech, or to hear the steps back and see that the A site would be a little bit more open, but that push is coming through. Eventually, the Prowler confirms it, and a clean opening shot from Aspas. MIB are happy with that. They bail out. Still with info on C with a player there, and a trap for B, but it does look like the hunt for techs is about to come on. Oh, maybe not. Very slow in the attack.
Yeah, sit back waiting. The attack. Not sure what they're searching for. Maybe expecting further aggression or...
Pull those A main players over to B, I think.
Yeah. But the thing is, with Aspas just not moving, well, there's the contact, and then the other two players can come back towards the door. So you've not really gained anything other than finally getting the A control, but 30 seconds left. Smoke is going to hold them back. Two players on the cross. In fact, Aspas isn't even checked for. The trades, though, are good. puts them into a more even scenario. The push back as well from Bai is perfect. That late lurk has given them the B site, given them a huge advantage, and put Mazzino in a clutch.
Mazzino creeping in from this angle. They don't think he was in that initial push, despite the util that went down. They thought he rotated out, but one's all he'll get. I love this mid round from AG. Look, they were in a pretty tough spot, having to push into the Cypher utility. They don't know it wasn't there. We could see it wasn't. But having to push towards that C site, they knew they'd lost a main, and instead they swing open the door, wait a moment, and hope that those players pushed up holding that first choke point would fall back. So instead of a battle, they just get Aspis spotting them and then bailing out.
Yeah,
there, I think not clearing that corner was a little bit of an oopsie, but
this was
that
the
was
big
the play.
moment.
Leaving by there the entire round. He waited for probably a minute outside B, and the timing was perfect.
Yeah, I would say that it still made me feel a little bit worried that, like, you get the opening kill, Aspis also gets away with murder, and it does basically come down to a clutch play from Bai to win out that round. If that trips even a little bit deeper, you're probably not winning it, but they do get things over the line. That's the most important thing, at least. But the defensive side, not much going to be invested into this one. DRQ, well, a chance maybe, and instead it's going to be Kira.
Planning bodies just protecting that C walk up. Got a main space. Cam should be destroyed. I know it's being heard, but I think it's behind the wall on A, so there's not really much that be done for Fangir to remove that without a big risk. And up against an eco, it's not really the time to be taking those risks. And in the first round, the patience most certainly paid off. This time around, it could be the same. They have plenty of utility, a paranoia being lined up and primed up. Finds two, finds all three, in fact.
Nice.
Should already be some alarm bells ringing. Indeed, they'll go back in the other direction towards where that Cypher cam was, the expected lighter side of the map, but MIBR are hot on their heels, just not quite there quick enough.
I think the amount of space that Fangir had already taken, of course, only risking the Marshal, puts them in a spot where they can just run through all of the angles as they did in the last round. Well, that's a bit of a surprise. The full force of his opposition were walking up behind, maybe expecting that Vice Wall to be out towards C long rather than holding on to B, so they caught a good timing. Of course, for Bai, that Bucky can be risked, but anything else would be incredibly costly. 3 rifles in play that could be brought into the next round, and Tex has done incredibly well. 2 quick kills off the Classic. The remaining players are not in a particularly good spot. They have to run in here because that spike has been tapped. They've turned it back into
easy comeback. Okay,
any additional kills would be great, but he comes up against the one healthy player.
Check it.
Lost, but at least they get the round, which, considering what was invested, I shouldn't be saying that.
No, yeah, we should not be looking for silver linings in a round like this. That was huge work by Tex. Turns out he was the hunter in there with a Classic, basically getting it done with a bare knuckle brawl, and that's crazy to find the 2 of them that quick. It's not like the second guy could have been surprised that he was there. 2-0 for all gamers, but some bumps in the road early on. Still, they can course correct. They can ignore all those earlier issues if they find the W here. MIBR putting the credits on the line. And again, we'll see that A-main aggression a little lighter this time with 3. Nade going deep. It's going to force them back, and Aspis a little closer than they might have. Refract. He can fall right back, so he goes in for the play, finding nothing. And will concede at least a bit of that A-main control. I imagine, though, here you're just going to leave Zekin, based on the current positions around Rubble, and have those rotations now, especially that Tex has spotted players outside C.
Early decision from the attack was just play more of a death ball, but I had the wall covering for any push-up. And it does seem like MIBR are almost having to figure out where they're going. Prowler has gone through on B. You kept the aggression outside A. There was a jump spot onto C. Like, because they're playing so far back towards the spawn, it's making it troublesome. clearing some of those early angles. Now,
Emerald Diali round.
a whole lot of support, but if he can hit a shot, and
Nice
get out
one,
of
man.
there, he's done his job, and that's exactly what he does.
It's the same approach as the pistol round. They're going to go late towards A main, hoping that that presence has been relinquished. They brawl for it, losing a player already, and then send by for the late lurk through B. They might even try to crunch B, but the problem is MIBR are so aware of this. They're not going to fall for the same trick twice, but with Mazzino down, now they're under pressure. Aspas, no longer a surprise in the corner, but he's ready for buy. Catches him, finds another, and at least gives MIBR a chance in the 3v2. The plant, 10 seconds, it needs to be found soon, and they can flood back in. They can deny this, but instead taking their time, closing the walls in slowly. As all gamers have no real space to play with. They know heaven's clear, but they want a battle. They want to brawl early, and it will be towards second, where one falls. The flood out washes the rest of the defense away. That's going to be all gamers losing out on the third round, but still trading a couple of blows, and there was a real chance in the 2v3.
It was mainly Aspas in this round that manages to stop it getting out of control, because the fact they're able to take over that door control, leave it down to just him, and then he has to fight two players at once, basically from different angles. And it's only because it's a little bit disjointed. I think Bai basically tried to trade off the initial shots, going, okay, he's fighting my teammates, I can just swing, and then his teammates aren't swinging. So that's where it kind of falls apart.
Swang?
Which is unusual. When he'd already been spotted, right? They knew Aspas was there, and I think it was just a micro-second of miscommunication that led to Aspas getting a second bite of the cherry, and the numbers being favored to MIBR on the way back through. Still, it was a clean retake on the defensive side. Even a stinger on Mazzino in this round.
I think it's clear that the defense think this is going to be C fight. After denying them A and obviously having this fallback early, they had 3 players stacked up on C. They had the Waylay ult ready and raring to go. And then they had the Cypher set up over on A as more of a delay. But again, very, very slow from all gamers. Taking their time. This time slowly walking through that A position.
That first trip is predictable, but the second we
should
down on the stairs, and try to slide through on the site. With it being so low, there's a decent chance that's going to catch her, and that gives Tex a kill trip if they're not quick enough to react to breaking it. Remember that time going down recently, Tex already taking a few shots and a nade now. That might stop him from being able to punish, and they go right over the trip. In fact, breaking it is the nade. Tex still manages to showstoppers fired his way, dodges as well.
Nice
and the numbers stay favorable for the defense.
Yeah, he off the kill trip. He did find one that was convergence path used as well, and Kira knows he has to try and execute off of that. JRQ's done well, so is Bai. Actually, they're fighting this back. The remaining 2 looked like they were in trouble. Instead, they were the trouble. 2 standing in Verno's way. He had an exceptional first game. In a team full of superstars, but he's now trying to bait them in, hoping that someone makes the mistake, someone goes looking in towards the spike, but they're not falling for it. Now baiting from behind that will close out the round. He's 7-1 right now, only being shut down once by Aspas, and other than that, being the star of the show.
I can't believe how confident they were right there. All gamers played that so cool, but he could have stuck it inside the smoke. They just knew he wouldn't have the gall to do such a thing. Gave him plenty of time, but in the end, they made the right call. 3-1 now for all gamers. And after what was, you know, some warning signs early on, like round 2 was way closer than it should have been. We could have seen MIBR come up with rounds very early on. Well, now the defense is left down to an eco. Now all gamers... This is a phenomenal start. Starting to think back to the game against Global Esports for MIBR, and it seems like a long time ago.
It's interesting as well because we are seeing MIBR winning a lot of the opening battles. The pistol round, even in the lower buy round as well. They've been able to get opening picks, and then all gamers have converted the 4v5 almost every single time. So it seems like them getting into the post plant is almost enough. And that was what, a 2v4 that they're able to turn back into their favor. MIBR are getting themselves in good positions, but the conversion just hasn't been there.
Well, they're certainly aware that Tex could be here, but Verno might try to play the distraction. Oh, he's being spotted, though. Getting back out of there is still a success for him. The pistol on range like that. All gamers, despite seeing the Cypher towards the C site, They decide to contact up here to play into it. And remember, last round, Tex was able to get some value out of the closer trip. It's the nade that destroyed his. This one won't quite reach, so there is still a danger there. They've gone over it to start, and there at least the boombot will reveal the trip on the floor. That's the real danger averted, not that anyone could pounce on the back of it. Pistols on the retake. Unless they can deny the plant.
Oh, hello.
Nade's going to do some good damage.
Oh,
Trips on
lucky
one.
boy. Very, very lucky. Now, I am looking at that 9-4. A lot of the time, one kill is enough to trigger it. We've seen that in the past, especially with pistols. Puts them down to low HP. And actually, the pressure being held on the other side. But now they should know that the majority coming in from the spawn. Paranoia sent through. Still not enough to activate that 9-4. You can see why. Slowly being picked apart one by one. The defensive side will fall. A good hold from the side of all games. Even Shrimp surviving on just 1 HP, but they won't mind. That's 4 alive.
Yeah, well, honestly, Shrimp surviving is probably the most important factor of that, because if not, they might decide to put the Nightfall through, like you said. I think there's a good chance that they do, just spur of the moment.
And he couldn't put his through, which gave them the information that there wasn't anybody towards the waterfall.
A really nice play as well by Bai. His flash was perfect. The second that they came out to take the battle, I think it might have been the end of Kira if that hadn't have popped exactly when it did. And that's a number of rounds now where MIBR, despite early on showing signs of life, have been kind of shut out. It has been all gamers looking like they
need more rounds.
And now a timeout is going to be called very early on. Remember, this map in this tournament started out so well for MIBR. They stepped onto the stage 13-2'd, if memory doesn't betray me on this one. Global Esports. And then from there, it was a labored overtime against Heretics. And I think that honestly took the wind out of MIBR's sails. They went into the next map and got absolutely trashed. So that kind of turnaround, it feels like, you know, most teams we look at is kind of wanting to heat up as the tournament goes on, whereas it feels like MIBR put their best foot forward in that first game, and then they took a bit of a stumble.
Yeah, I think as well, you have to think back even to the very beginning of the year with gamers not being a massively known quantity when it comes to the international stage. That event felt like a learning curve, but also people looked at, I think it was Gentlemates, and went, oh, they got all gamers next, they're going to get through that game. And it was underestimating their opponent, and also all gamers being a decent squad. Like, they've got some very talented players on their side. Now, sure, the names are on the other side. And, well, an early fake plant, but that fake hasn't really done too much. It's been spotted. It has pulled 3 players over, but again, they can get back. Verno under serious pressure, though, and now the response being attempted. It's not been connected by one, but it has been found by Mazzino.
Yeah, Mazzino was a bit too quick, got ahead of the rocket. But a kill's kill, that's all that matters. Here. Oh, he's going to be taken out by Aspis, and angle he checked just moments ago. Ball goes through, and a player up close, isolated, caught off guard, you would think, but GRQ somehow gets away with that kill. The spam taking him low, and Aspis taking him out. Leaves it 3v2. Still, a chance for all gamers here. Kira, the unknown quantity, the later play through mid. No nade left to play with. Oh, that's tough. Shrimps being caught by the seas. Out of the round, and damage done. Looks good for all gamers. Aspis and Tex holding on for dear life by a thread, but they've made it through. It's the second round for MIBR.
I feel like it's been the case in both rounds where Aspas has found the most impactful kills to sort of turn it into their favor, like having to deny what was an incredibly fast take. And sure, the spams helped pushing players into his position. But they still expended an awful lot into this round, and of course for the attack side, having a few in a row, they should comfortably be able to buy back into this one. I think Kira's just having the thought of what to go for. But this now needs to be the springboard for the defense. A few players surviving, give them a bit of extra to buy back up with, but they would still be in trouble in the next round if they were to lose all their players.
Well, we have certainly seen the patience from all gamers. A lot of these attack rounds have started like this. The vice wall for that A aggression, making sure there's no early flank. That's a risky blast pack, but a lot of information garnered, but a player lost. Tex gets out. Aspis, of course, is no trouble. being able to dash right back to the site and
Even
further
helper,
trouble.
what is that?
All Gamers
Fatapat
get an
helper.
orb, but they're a man down and Shrimp down as well. That's a player who's really helping to clear these angles and get you into sights.
अगर भाई जान बोल के निकल गए.
Gotta go a bit more blind now.
Yeah, I feel like he still has been the guy that's been picked off quite often earlier in the rounds. Like they have been using the Prowlers, but he's currently 1-6 and having a bit of a rough time. In some of their earlier matches, he was incredible. He was by far their best player. But that does also mean, as said, from the 4v5s, all gamers have done a good job at recovery. Into the site they go. Again, the trip is there, but it's been spotted. They haven't broken it though. They didn't break it. The boom ball went through, but it goes straight back online. That gave Tex a freebie, and now Aspas is the defender of the site. A bit of a weird scenario, because that trip coming back online, sure, it was only the 1-for-1 trade, but it did make things a little bit easier for Tex.
Yeah, listen.
I think he's there.
If Tex is gonna, I actually looked over where you.
You did. Well. I was thinking.
I was like, Tex is there. I think he's playing, bro.
Did you sleep okay?
That confused me. I did actually. I think I overslept last night. And now it's starting to catch up on me.
You look straight into a wall like,
yeah.
No, he's not.
Where is he?
No, wait, he's on the stage.
Okay, well, that was a confusing moment for me. But as I'm sure that last round was for all gamers, giving away the pick and giving Tex the opportunity, and it seems like MIBR capitalizing on every chance they're given. A 5 versus 3 right off rip. We said it's been these slower rounds from all gamers, but this was an attempt to change pace, to challenge for that A main that MIBR have been throwing utility at early, at least trying to manage, that all gamers have been leaving the Vice wall outside and conceding the space, fighting late for. This time they go aggressive, and it does not work out, at least to start. They've got themselves A main, whoop-dee-dee, but I think the orb's about the biggest reward they've got.
The 2-for-1, or 2-for-1 orb trade. Not the greatest deal on Earth.
Someone taking it.
Again, they've ground to a halt. This double duelist 1-2 punch is one of the most terrifying on Earth, especially facing into a high-low. You'd bet your house on one of them to hit it. And that's exactly what they've done. For Shrimp, well, he's alive later into the nice work from Hero. They've got to be careful. They've already lost 1 2v4 in this game, and I think that's why we saw the pause. A 2v5, and they might have to use their second.
One more for Kieran. It's a showstopper, but with Shrimp down now. That paranoia perfectly placed. Yeah, his chances go to 0. Still gets out with the showstopper for the next round, but for MIBR after what was, as we said, round 2, there were signs of life. They won round 3, but then started to get shut down, and it seemed like all gamers were going to run away with this. Bai was having fantastic impact on the lurks in terms of denying the retakes as well. I don't even think we saw the delay as much as they could have, but it worked because when they pushed in, the flash was there to catch. Now things have stalled out massively. 3 rounds in a row, and a convincing start to that one. I think it's no surprise that they go for the timeout.
Yeah, and I think similarly as well to what we saw from Creven, the last Lotus that we casted. Those trips are being really annoying. Like when they've tried to get into the C site or A, I think we've seen multiple kill trips, which a lot of the time you're going to be able to avoid, especially if you have the likes of a Raze. You can use that nade to good effect to try and get rid of some of the angles that you're pushing. But then, like, hitting it with a boombot, not breaking it, those are silly mistakes. And I think these are moments that you're going to want to see the coaching staff pick up, because then you go for a harder, more aggressive, let's just fight A, and you lose both fights immediately. That's a little bit more worrying. And seeing some of the superstars on MIBR, that's why there's so much sort of pressure, but also put in high regard on this team. These are players that from top to bottom we've talked about as superstars of their team. I even think like one of my favorite players to watch of all time is Mazzino back in the crew days. That guy has unbelievable individual talent. So you're then looking at the likes of Aspas and Tex getting going. Maybe you want to pause just to try and slow them down a little bit, which is easier said than done.
Well, Tex at least, it's been high impact off of his utility, be it on the A or the C site. Now he swapped up to the B site just to be more of a headache. Any adaptations that they had around his impact will now have to be readjusted. And it does appear that all gamers are going for this approach. Look at where the Vice wall is, and look at where Vice is. The gap here is the C push, and this is because they intend to be relatively quick. Making presence towards the A side, opening the door, sure. But I think this is a B split, which is the perfect round for MIBR when they have put all of their fortifying utility towards that site. They've got players in position in the form of Aspas with big utility, or big ultimates in the back pocket in the convergence path. much as
देखते देखते
delaying. Oh no, I think they've adjusted to A. The spike's
Yeah, I
going in.
guess-
They're going to go for it.
If they've ended up with a lot of space.
Weird vice wall for this.
The defense are about to try and make a play through the smoke, which versus the pistols is definitely a bit of a gamble. And there is Shrimp. Said he's been the hero of a lot of rounds.
Arre.
It's only going to be the one as well for Aspas off the
ये
back
मानो
of his
होती है
ult.
ना
Burno a little bit further away. And this contact through the smoke was hoping for so much more, and it gets almost nothing. It is a
good one
quick
Veg
round, or quick close, I should say, for the attack side. And after the pause, they're able
crazy
to
crazy one
immediately
crazy one
find a response. But that's going to be a frustrating one, because as you said, it looked like the setup was going to be correct. I think especially more of a default round that you get with a low buy is heading in towards that B site. But they get caught trying to walk through utility.
Yeah, you know, it's very weird because the whole round to me looked like all gamers were primed. Like that vice wall is so weird to put if you're covering the B walk up. I don't know what they saw. I'm led to believe that they changed it mid-round. I don't know why, but it was the perfect read. And a great play to get 5 on the board of all the rounds holding that smoke walk up. And now look at GRQ. Walked right through a position that they've been hating non-stop, but he just TPs across a little later. And the reward, Aspas in the ground, Mazzino following, and a showstopper to drop second.
nice one Ben nice one
All gamers looked like they had slowed down, but they just took a
Go to
break.
Nonada.
They're right back to winning ways.
Finally,
We're on.
Aspas AWP, but it gets absolutely nothing. Just shut out by a player
He
walking
just heard it.
across, and it was definitely something that they were not aware of. Verno trying to fight back alone. Bear in mind the economy
last
of MIBR is not in a particularly good spot. And the tech's going for a 1v5. I'll be honest, that seems really audacious. Holding onto the weaponry, at least from my perspective, holds a lot more value than attempting an all-in gamble of a retake.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think for the start of this, the thing we're missing compared to a normal setup, right? You see that rubble fight. Normally, you've got your Omen TPing up, taking the rubble control. You got a Neon sliding through. In this case, maybe an Aspas diving deep, but he had the op, so he didn't want to. They didn't go for that last round, and that small gap left was enough for all gamers to step in and take that control. Now a buy for MIBR that sees a weak weapon on Aspas, and Mazzino, but the rest on a full buy, and the adjustment is there. The dash up this time,
two rounds
rubble after the nade. They know that there's no one here. But all gamers have changed pace. No longer this direct approach. No longer looking to steal the map control or wrestle it out of the hands of their opponents. Instead, they pump the brakes again. And I've really liked watching the variance of how they're approaching this. I think it's very hard for MIBR to read this pace.
Oh yeah, it creates an awkward line in the sand, especially when you have this double duelist. You want to be putting pressure on. So you're going to have early map control, but then they've been happy to sort of default back late into the round. At least in this one, all of Tex's utility is gone. 45 seconds left as they look to try and clear positioning once again. This time there is a player up close, but he's already been caught. Verno, we've seen him get cleared from this position, but they're looking to try and battle and brawl for this, really try and fight for this. And it even seems like they might have had the expectation that maybe they would just leave, but no. They're continuing this pressure and now going all the way back. They've played the late lurk so perfectly that, okay, they're eventually going to take their space, maybe worried that there's a trip, as there has been almost every single time. There's nothing Tex can really do about this.
No, forced to give them the plan.
got into C
This pace from all gamers has been a nightmare in this round, even more so, but showstopper!
oh
That is a lifeline for
Crazy
all
one,
gamers.
man.
That could have been a double opener, but instead, the numbers, they say even for now.
1-1 pick
MIBR kept back, and with the op taking Mazzino out, and Aspas, they have no choice
Neon.
but to concede. Surely,
Crazy,
no,
man.
they press on, they press forward into Fangir. A 4K for the Neon as all gamers push up to 7. A guaranteed lead. And what a resurgence from this squad.
I'll be honest with you, I thought he won them the round with the first op shot that he hit, and then he hits 3 more after that. That is a beautiful round from Fangir, because Zekum was, I want to say, 0.2 of a second from eliminating 2 players on his team.
I think he clicked the second he died. Like that was ridiculous.
It was such a fast reaction shot, and then everything else from there on was just perfect from Fangir. It's an operator that I don't believe
Nice one,
it
nice
would have
one,
even
nice one.
bought. It was one that he picked up off the corpse of Aspas and then used it to their own demise. What was a level scoreline, came a pause for all gamers, and now they find themselves with a pretty hefty advantage. For the last one, might put them out of sight.
Zeno
Last
playing
round.
the orb outside A. Nightfall now for MIBR. If all
ML
games go
ఇంకొక్క
for
round
push
ఇస్తే
versus
అయిపోతుంది.
any other team, look at what the Vice wall is. Look at where all 5 players were just moments ago. Any other team, I'd already be saying, and here they go, they're ready to break into the B site. But I've learned my lesson. I've learned my
ML
lesson
one
from
more
these guys.
round.
They play a
Guys,
very
अंदर like जन
weird
people stream
game.
में सर
I don't think I've seen a round like that.
सब लोग like करो like.
They give up all control, go late back towards it, look to fight. Nade's perfect, by the way. It's caught Mazzino.
Night
It's left him down to
में
46
check.
HP. It's got the Nightfall out of them as well. Hey, this is such an annoying game to play against because for MIBR, of course, you want to go pushing up. Of course, you want to take space. You want to find information. And as you do, you lose Mazzino now. Your low HP player, you flood back out through these doors with no idea that a flank is on its way. The ult now popped, and look who's right behind you. Vangear! Beautiful from all gamers. They are playing a cerebral game, and MIBR, they're not even coming close to getting a read.
It's just perfect. We said it. They had one bad round in terms of timing, where Bai ends up getting
వాడికి
caught.
తెచ్చింది ఆడున్నాడని.
And since then, since the pause,
Crazy game sense man.
every single double back or wrap around has been utterly perfect. A player that goes from being a hard entry, goes into a lurk, goes back to hard entry, back into lurk again. Like you've got to be sat there on the other side of MIBR trying to call this, going, okay, they're pressuring A, let's take B. There was
Guys,
a guy
double tap
B,
and subscribe,
let's
people.
go back, let's
New
hold
people.
it. And you're just having to wrap
Another
around
subscribe is double tap
consistently.
in.
And then when you're finally in the fight, you go, okay, they are A, and then someone swings you from behind and kills 2 of your players.
Crazy था, crazy
All the games that we've cast, and all the games we've watched so far.
ये एक नंबर कोटिंदा अंदर.
This map in particular, because we've cast even all gamers before, and I wouldn't say this was anywhere near the level that they're putting up. This is some of the best calling on the attack. And I know that because I'm just trying to imagine playing against it. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the MIBR players and pretend that I could actually hit shots as well. And it's so annoying because they give you so many false signals.
AG was good, man.
Pushing early, you're seeing the space is clear. They fight back for that space late. So late that it seems that that's clearly where the hit's coming in. And then there's a double flank from the other side. Sometimes they wrap all the way back to the other side of the map. Really impressive stuff from them. And again, this started out, I felt like MIBR were the ones to take command of this series, but it has been anything but.
It's been very impressive. And it also forced MIBR into basically doing very similar things. Like, I think one of the main
Neon तो अब एक नंबर के लावे. Neon वाला अब है तो एक नंबर वाला.
Unintentional but perfect. The amount of players that I saw play on that rubble wall, either get by a nade or hit by C's, they were saving a piece of utility every single round to kill that player. And I don't think once I saw them get out alive.
Well, this is the thing. They were doing that before they were even competing for that spot. And that's why you can then have Omen TP across further back. And now your Omen's able to slip the net and get behind Aspas and take down the first Aspas op we saw. Round 2 was close, round 3 was good. And then for all gamers, they just ran away with things. Back to the pistol now. MIBR get to play out this attack side. And I'm curious to see how all gamers approach the defense. You can see Vice set up. The wall is covering the A push. There's a flash. It won't last very long. Considering that he's shown up, Vangear's been there, and Bai's been having a lot of space on those lurks. I think here, early flanks could play a role. Nah, that's not going to work. That's a nice try. A little smoke in mound. I love the attempt on the classic Bai, but MIBR, they've got that cam to clear.
I do think it's good though that now.
अबे जाना भाई.
Like I think Verno's been having
वाल वाले शिरो इल्ला दे
deal
शिरो.
with everything that's been thrown at him from the all gamers side. But now you get to define where those battles are. Even if you end up walking into a stacked site,
Nice.
you have the execution utility. Not bad from Bai already though, of course, for MIBR. This is a slightly lighter purchase, just a couple of rifles alongside pistols and a marshal. They can, of course, buy into the next round, but it's mainly those couple of guns you don't want to lose.
Crazy, man.
So far, it's looking so.
Easy one. Good one, BML.
Everything onto the board. Get themselves up to 6. And then maybe
Nice.
have an upgraded rifle
Guys, सब
or
लोग
two
double
to
tap
go
करो.
back into this one with.
Double tap, guys. Double tap.
Indeed, for MIBR, things looking to pick up, but this is the real test coming up now for them. All gamers in with a full buy. Bangir playing the outlaw. Looking at the other side, there's not too many players that he can catch with that one shot, but MIBR are going towards A. There's going to be a nade coming their way. There's going to be a paranoia prep for GRQ. In fact, it's only the boombot to start. Gear's keeping the nade a little bit later. It's a shame. This time we could see it would have probably eaten a bunch of those HP bars. Obviously have a different idea for later on. Still with the season nade. Prowler ready to go through. Should grab the information, but
X is almost dead.
yeah, he's been exploring the C site and he met the outlaw heads up.
Bear in mind, there's an outlaw on either side, but
Wait, just waiting.
at least for now, the one it will maybe benefit even slightly more is Aspas, because there are 3 players on the other side.
Nice.
Will take that as an operator. Again, a slower pace with Bangir just trying to find out information. He gets it, spots multiple players on that side of the map.
Chala low node bro.
It's somewhat rused that's being sent on A. Doesn't hold anywhere near as much value.
Low.
Defense are actually giving nothing. They're just sitting all the way back, similarly to what we saw on the other side. But it's whether or not they can bait the rotations the right way. And looking at a solo defender of GRQ, who's about to get some support, but will it be too little too late?
He can still get out of here. Still with a shrouded step if he needs it. And he may well need it, but he's sticking around. He's looking for the battle, and Aspas has got it! And Kira! A headshot on
Good
that
one,
second
man.
swing! Bought them all the
Aspas.
space to get this plant and a man advantage under their belt as a result.
Crazy.
MIBR have just been gifted the upper hand by Aspas.
Aspas.
The gift you
Crazy
get
one.
when you purchase one of the best players to ever touch the game, and
Nice one,
that
man.
double opener
Second.
sets them up in aggressive
Okay.
positions.
Last
Fangir
one.
maybe hopeful to get something here, and now they've
Easy,
spotted
easy
the
one,
remaining
easy
player.
one.
It's the 1-2 punch, the bait taken, and
Same.
Mazzino with an easy frag in the end. Fangir has no choice but to try and run for the hills. And what started as a bonus round that had a Marshall and some weaker weaponry,
I'm saving.
even the Outlaw in the mix for Aspas, which, well, clearly wasn't a weaker weapon, now turns into them currently having 4 rifles, some mass upgrades, and a fantastic start to the second half.
For Aspas to get the first kill was impressive, but to then swing
That was crazy,
deep
man.
with 1 bullet left in the outlaw, he had 100% confidence he was hitting that headshot, and for good reason too. Like, look at this, 1 shot left, and he goes, screw it. Does he know that guy's low? No, he doesn't have a clue. He thinks I need to hit his head, or I'm gonna 140 and probably get traded. But we got 10 seconds. We need a plant. Screw it. Throws it out there. It works, and all gamers now,
I'm out.
after a strong first half, an 8-4 scoreline where they did look like they had their hands glued to the reins. Now it's come back to bite them. That gap has closed into just 1. And
Mal
MIBR
crazy
on
one,
the
man.
heels like this gets a timeout from that side.
Yeah, the last pause they had was what took them from a 4-4 scoreline all the way to winning the half.
Yep.
This will be their second pause taken. And for Ed 101, this is an opportunity to potentially do the same again, like try and get them
Well,
back.
come
This
back
is
into
not-
variation.
not the end of the world so far, but I think you definitely see Aspas able to basically fight 2 players at once and come out on top, and you do start to worry a little bit that this map could slip away from them. And of course, for MIBR, this is important because they are going into what is their own map choice split coming up next, which I think is still a fairly comfortable pick for them. I was maybe surprised that we didn't see all gamers go a slightly different way.
Man.
But you're not going
AJ
to
don't have
the
buy.
deficit, and they are still currently around behind, although
AJ are by level other buy on the round pick jal AJ. AJ should win.
Well, it looks like all gamers have got a decent read early on. They've gambled correctly. 3 players towards the C site. Prowlers going out on A, trying to distract, but MIBR unknowingly still walking into this stack. Paranoia is perfect. It's got so
Oh,
many.
crazy,
but that
crazy one,
page
crazy one,
from
crazy one.
Tex that saved them all. There were 3 players blinded and easily about to be taken down. A single cage.
आसपास तो crazy है भाई.
They get
एक नंबर और तो
take a
आसपास.
breather to reset, to fight on their terms and put a
Crazy
5v3 on
one.
the board. When the smoke fades, it's not going to look pretty for Kira. Even
West side आ
with
गया.
2, it's left Shrimp
साइड
alone.
अच्छी दे रहे
weaponless
क्षेत्र की एजी को कमबैक करना था.
Not been having the greatest of games individually. Started incredibly slow, and this would have to be an utter turnaround in a round where expectations at this stage are almost zero. MIBR have managed to negate the stack with relative ease, considering the initial setup
Last
looked
player.
incredibly dangerous. Now Zekken is already tagged low and will go down.
Oh,
But the remaining 2 players full HP and
Zekken तो
looking
चौक
to try
किया
and
है.
play this together. 3 bullets
Choke
remaining
mission.
in that Sheriff, but the main problem is the time. Needs to almost be on that defusal already if they're going to get it to half and try and bait players in. And that is the goal. Another nice shot from Shrimp. The problem is the second player may be expected to be further away. It's a crazy shot again from Shrimp. But unfortunately, that clock was already gone. A nice amount of damage in a low buy round.
Nice one. मैं ML पर एजी crazy खेला बे वो.
Yeah, I think they realized at the end, if he gets
एक
it
नंबर
half,
हाड़े.
he has a chance. But if I stop him now, he doesn't. And that was incredibly close. A millisecond either side, and this could completely change the game. And that's in a number of different fights. Kira did remarkably well to find 2 up top. Lucky that they were throwing the C's nade as the smoke faded, so 2 of those players weren't ready to fight.
Tech high well put this stream.
Close as they made it, costly as they made it. The MIBR still have decent credits even after the bye. They come in here, the convergence path on the attack side.
कुछ नहीं होगा इनका.
All gamers want to get aggressive right away. They've decided to try to catch Kira, and he is being stunned up by the convergence path. No chance with the showstopper yet. It's still a couple kills back in their direction. Fighting through the doors with great success.
Yeah.
All gamers have a man advantage.
If anything, Kira with the showstopper kind of saved the rest of his teammates. Nightfall now being thrown out as well.
Hasn't seen Verno.
Verno sat in the corner, but Vangia was still a relative unknown.
Bro.
The attack side looking to try and take space on the other side of the map, but of course in a massive deficit. Well, Tex might be in trouble between 2. I think the rifle might have been spotted. Just the tip is enough to give the game away, but Tex has managed to escape, but will he escape by timing? Couldn't be any worse. Just as he drops down, and now Aspas will walk into the same man. Lead not taken by MIBR just yet, as a breakback is immediate.
Oh, that's essential for all gamers to stand their ground there. I think if they lose the lead and end up on an eco, MIBR will hold the momentum to just run away with this. But standing tall in this moment, a bunch of problems there with like the Nightfall not hitting, and yet they're aware. They're filling in the gaps in those fights. The showstopper being caught by the convergence path, but
actually saving,
it ended up working out favorably for them, and for MIBR trading out that ultimate. And they come into this one away from a showstopper, and I think Zekken finding that orb would be a death sentence. They look to defend it though on all gamers. They lose Shrimp right off rip. And there's the orb for Zekken. He gets it on a
Zekken crazy, man.
The nade almost lands perfectly, but Hangir dodges it.
Crazy.
Now has backup as well. The problem is they're going to know exactly who these
Crazy,
players
bro,
are.
crazy.
Oh, yeah, that was an immediate cancel from Aspas. You could see he was about to dive in and then goes, oh, there's 2 there. No, I'm not doing that anymore. Well, we can just play with the rotation. Second has just turned on this round, though.
Crazy,
a shot through
second
the
though.
smoke, a shot in a pixel gap through the door. Now the remaining 2. Again, there's been a lot of rounds where I feel like MIBR have had ridiculous
Just
advantages.
folding.
But this one, I like how they played it. They have just paused. They've stood still. They know there's trips on the other side of the map as well. One holding B, one holding A, so they cannot be flanked without that information. And because they just stood completely still, the All Gamers players went, okay, I'm going to get aggressive on B, try and find info. You go aggressive on A, let's try and get something. And, well, they might get one kill at least onto Aspas. But other than that, it should be much tougher. Although I am looking at the attack side splitting up a little bit. I'm going to be honest, I don't like the current positioning of the MIBR players. They're giving chances. But in the end, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, considering how Shrimp in a 1v3 with a Sheriff almost won the round. I wouldn't really be playing that confident, but spreading the net has its purposes. Find those players. Hopefully remove their weapons. A lost rifle for MIBR won't quite sting as much as deleting all those finances for all gamers, especially with how things have been going. Majority of rounds falling into those attackers' hands.
Crazy wrong, crazy wrong, crazy wrong.
Fly under the radar for now.
Well, that is the one thing I will say, though, is that for all gamers, they can rebuy no matter what. So if you lost too many weapons by getting aggressive, it would have actually hurt them more than if they took all of the guns away.
This was crazy, way second or Valorant ka to
clearly feeling like the second they didn't spot them on the side. But this was the second round. Again, we know that the peak potential of what this man can do. In fact, there's a man sat just over there who definitely knows the peak potential of what Zekken can do. Yes, Rob Moore is back. Wow. This is a much faster take coming out from Zekken. Showstopper, he's got the support of his teammate to at least hold on to the space. 4 players outside of this A site, and they've got to be a little bit careful, but it's only space taken, no lives.
That's okay. Crowd control was all they wanted. Now they can just fade away from where that ulti's coming through. 2 players still going to be caught by it. The Nightfall right back should slow down all gamers. Should, but it might not. The shorty up close here, a death sentence for Kira. He was 20 HP, swinging that angle, and Tex has torn the maneuver. Although, hold on, it's not over just yet. The big swing in leaves all gamers ahead. It's a 2v2. They were behind moments ago, but now neck and neck in this fight, coming in from both angles. GRQ isolates the fight to start, and the swing in from Vanguard is beautiful. All gamers looked like they were falling behind. The chances slipping through their fingers, but they got their grip back on this map just in time.
They did well to hold every single position there. Because you looked at the amount of counter odds, you mentioned it, the Nightfall, but they'd already claimed that space. And we're still fighting through it, even with having some of that later HP. It left MIBR with not really any map control to try and hold on to. Like, they're basically boxed in on that B site. And because of that, it made it very, very difficult to avoid any utility that was thrown through, any ultimates that took their guns away. The back and forth continues in that matter. Operator now in as well for Fangir. And it really does feel like potentially the team that wins 2 in a row might be the one to take the map. Whoa. He's able to get out of there. He takes a lot of damage for it.
Yeah, down to half already. Zekken looking for a bit of space towards this B site. The crew right behind him, but they've heard the wall now. Whether debate it out or it looks like push through it all together. Well, that was the idea. Few players have been isolated. Now left to just Zekken.
We're almost all in this together.
Yeah, it's been left behind by the gang. But a plan found. No real contest from all gamers. They gave that to them. Happy to play the retake, and after how last round worked out, I'm not too surprised. But the difference is they pushed them out of those key positions with the Steel Garden. It's not there anymore.
To be expended. Already the overdrive, getting one and a second as well. Great work from Fangir once again. Up top is Aspas, needs to land some shots. Has Verno alongside him, and again, the trading is enough for all gamers. This B-site retake.
Come back, man.
Sure, maybe they do need an auto tool, but this time it was the overdrive that did the work.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I realize why they're so confident in the retakes when Fangir is just going to pull BS out like that.
Good retakes.
Sprayed 2 people down, took barely any damage for it, and is able to get out and reset for a big 5v3 retake.
Yes.
This is insane. He's down to 41 HP, and none of his spams catch him. Verno really stepped up to the plate in this round, but it's Dan to get knocked out of the park. And for all gamers, this is all they need. 11-9, 2 rounds in a row, and an eco coming out of MIBR. Very low buy at best.
Timeout.
We should be seeing overtime locked in, and the timeout from MIBR coming in here, they're going to discuss that. Is it even worth fighting for victory in regulation and potentially throwing the map away?
That's the tough spot. We mentioned it earlier when they started this comeback. They were 8-4 down on their own map choice. Brought it back to level a couple of times, but all gamers are the ones that seem to have the extra little bit of depth. I think them running as a unit has really been working out. Like we saw in the first half with them playing with the almost ruse of their push and pull of the map, and then on the defense, their retakes have looked fantastic, even if it was a 1v3 in some occasions. The last pause of regulation for either side. I'll say that as well. It mentioned whether or not the impact from the coaching staff would be there. I think especially for all gamers, both times that they've taken a pause, they've gone on streaks of rounds. Be it coincidence or not, I think the coaching staff deserves some credit.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think that there has been a tangible step up from this squad, heating up as the tournament goes on. Aspis, though, comes in to shut one down. Kira, 34 HP. He's lucky to still be alive after a few shots landed. For MIBR, you know there's potentially a weapon to be retrieved in there. I think they still want to hit this C site, but all batten down the hatches now. I didn't even expect to see convergence path put through, but they're committing it even on this lighter buy. They saved their credits to fight for the next round, yet somehow they're winning every battle here. A missed shot from Vangeer. Do you save here?
I think
for all
so,
gamers? It's not worth even giving them the extra weapons.
You don't want to give an AWP over. You don't want to give another rifle. They'll be able to get some upgrades here and there, but that round, again, was all Aspas. The fact that he's able to dive in, get an opener, get his ult, pop the ult, hit, I think, everyone that was on that site. It looked like they lined up. And then that SMG is nowhere near as weak anymore, because you have to hit an instant shot, and I just have to spray wildly while moving all over the shop. So, great round from him. And that has been the case in a lot of this map so far. Like, I think if you look at openers, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Aspas is going to have a vast majority of them with what he's been able to do with pistols, what he's been able to do with rifles, and it's been fight backs into the round from all gamers. Well, this time, they were unable to fight back. A singular ultimate has been able to turn the tide and give them a 10th.
I think it's crazy that MIBR came in. Like I said, they saved their credits. They had money for the next round if they lose this one. This was a buy what you can and let's win the next.
Yes.
And yet that kill gets the ult out of them, and that's what immediately turns the tide in their favor. 10-11. It's been Vangeer finding a lot of success.
Come back.
In the late rounds. But early, we need some heroes for all gamers. As MIBR once again look towards the C site. GRQ looks to concede that space. He's just immediately playing on the backside. He's already in spawn. After what happened last round, no one wants to be standing on site when Aspas comes barreling in. Because of that, it should be a relatively easy plant.
Yeah, but the one thing that we've been talking about with all gamers is their retakes have been incredible. I like in this scenario
incredible like crazy था
the late lurk, but
incredible से ऊपर भी बोलता ना वो भी कम रह जाएगा.
The plant is coming through on the other side of the map. They're being patient. A nice shot as well off the back of the nade. Forced an awkward position, and there's that from Vangeer. They said one of the major dangers, the difference is
nice one.
was having Tex in the background. Zekken, though, again, any shot he fires through those doors seems to be deadly, and Kira is low.
Well, they had the plant, but MIBR tried to spread their roots. All gamers come in. They've trimmed the shrubbery, and a great paranoia into the back. It hasn't got the player up top, though. Verno still able to provide that cover. Now the jump in. Caught by Verno as well. And MIBR, they fight their way back into this round, back into this map. 11-11.
Crazy
From the defense initially, like those opening picks that they found, like the nade combo to get rid of Mazzino. Then you have the catch on the lurker as well, but it's those three players just hunkered down at the back.
And it's Verno as well, who he was like 1 in 10 or something. He had a really bad start, and that's 2 rounds now I can point to and say, without him, they don't have a chance. They did end up losing one of those, but this one here, that's all him. He saved that backside.
Yeah, it stops.
Crazy, man.
Protected the president. He kept Aspas alive long enough. 11-11. Stunned through a weaker purchase, but there is a showstopper. I don't know if it's going to be used in this round. No, it's not. Again, another opener. Aspas Vangeer in position once again, though, and he gets 3 in the blink of an eye. The majority of that attack force dissipates, and even a TP in behind. There's plenty of weaponry to be found for these defenders. No ultimates to play with. Bono will get his, but its viability in this sort of moment.
Look at the pings.
He's just faked that out. That TP was purely for bait purposes.
They were pinging those rifles. They're saying, let's get them and fight our way back into this one. A buy up in the next for all gamers, but they might have to fight for OT. But with Verno down, maybe not. Tex, the man who's been a problem. Look at his position. Look at the plant. He has to be quick moving to sight. They're going to see him very early on. He'll cut off the first head of the Hydra, but plenty more remain. Tex, a chance in the 1 versus 1. Has his cam, but look for the fight.
Oh, crazy man ML. GG, bhai. GG.
With a huge clutch.
Crazy.
That's just insanity. Like, again, you look at this defensive side and you go, hey, bang it.
Crazy one.
He genuinely might have wiped out the entire squad if he was given an extra bullet or two.
Crazy one, tha bhai. Crazy one.
Position first player, you could forgive it. The second look to jump across as bait almost, and then gets wrecked.
Chalo, AG, come back. Come back.
Because of that, he has
Come back కావాలి లేదు ఇప్పుడు కంబ్యాక్ కాకపోతే అయిపోయినట్టే
3 in a row for MIBR.
రౌండ్ ఓడిపోతారు.
Sure, it was a low buy round, but they're not going to care. And for the defense, they now have ultimates. They have weaponry. They're in a good position to take us to overtime, but have they been broken by those last couple of rounds?
No time bhai. First round overtime వద్దు తీసేశారు. ML
Herculean effort in that last.
కంబ్యాక్ ఇవ్వాలి ఏజీ కానీ ML ఈ రౌండ్ గెలవాలి. రెండు కావాలి.
Swinging in early in the smoke. Cool under pressure with MIBR. They've weathered the storm.
రెండిట్లో ఏదైతుంది కానీ
To safe
చూద్దాం.
waters, at least an overtime guaranteed now. But 13 on the board early is what they want. Prowler again sent to B. We've seen this MIBR like to push and pull the map. For all gamers, they're left without a read, but the vice setup on the A side should leave them a bit more confident.
MRBR.
The direction. The thing is, where's MIBR going? This is looking like one of those all gamers rounds. They're playing across the map, grabbing their orbs, and it's a huge fake of the C site, but it hasn't pulled rotations.
At least not yet. And because of that, questions are being asked. 2 ultimates have been used on the inside of the map. It felt like they had the right read. Honestly, about 2 seconds ago they did, but because there was no contact made towards him, he's called for the rotations. 12 seconds to get that plant in. Aspas with an operator in
Good
a
one.
peculiar spot. Now they look to move. If they
Okay, round close.
that might be the round. I don't know if they've got time to plant it. I don't think they do.
Easy,
All
easy
they
plan.
do is survive, and they've taken it off that alone. 4 attackers will live
Bro.
to tell the tale of a singular kill.
Right in the nick of time.
That's crazy.
They picked the
ఎందుకు
spot
భయ్?
with 3.5 seconds left. Just shy of what they needed. That is a huge play. And all gamers, they deserve an overtime with how they've played. And their attack side is really
No,
one of the
bro.
scariest. But Fangir, every step of the way, has been the shining light, the spark of hope for all gamers. Now they look to fan the flames in overtime.
They're going to see his face in their nightmares tonight. Like, that is genuinely... He couldn't have timed it any better. Like, literally, it's not
Waste
possible.
bhai, waste.
Gets it on the 6-second mark. Stays alive long enough.
ML easy round tha.
And that should have been the end of the game. Instead, OT. Anger's got to be feeling confident at this stage. It feels like every decision he makes turns to gold. And the attack side now looking to put the pressure back onto Tex. They suffered at the hands of his trips. And again, you can see how wary they are of running through that utility. But this time, there's no kill trip in that spot.
MIBR, everybody in the waterway, ready to come flooding back through. Fangir will be the point of contact, and he'll fall, but
Nice one, nice one, nice one, nice one, nice one.
next to fall? Who's next to challenge? Nobody. As MIBR find out, the plays come in the other direction, and a great TP from GRQ. He's passed the trip very early on, and as they now break it, it might be a bit of false security for Aspas. No, he's clearing it still. He's looking for this player, and he'll find him.
Crazy.
GRQ down. good work by Aspect.
Easy round, easy round. ML easy round.
Broken so late, but he will be caught by Bai in the end.
They've got to be careful here. AG in the post plant, that was where they were truly deadly. Bai one away
No,
from an
no.
ultimate.
ML, no. No, ML.
Look to get aggressive timing worked out.
Oh, nice. Easy. Nice. Crazy.
They've not been broken by that previous round. They will now go up to 13. Another attempt at map point on the attack.
Another chance to close this out. Last time,
Rupa plays high.
it was a very narrow margin by which they lost out on the chance to start the series 1-0. 16-14 against Heretics. I'm even talking about the last 2 rounds ago.
Oh.
Half a second.
Oh, I let you in the last time they played this map.
Indeed, yeah, that match against Heretics was laborious, and this may be the same. You look across the stage from MIBR, though, and like Fangir blowing
I think ML గెలుస్తది match ఈ round.
For MIBR, Aspis is impressive as ever, but the desk highlighted it, hunting down Tex.
ML winning.
What this was all about, but he proved to be more predator than prey. Dive in from MIBR. They haven't spotted Fangir. And now they have, but it's he'll still get 2. And with GRQ adding to the equation,
Bro.
MIBR miles behind.
Genuinely.
Crazy, bro.
He almost gets another triple kill in a defensive round. And while Tex is thinking so much,
ML.
he ends up getting peaked.
MRBR gaya.
Scratch that. He's been great. He's been so good in opening positions, but how much can he truly hope to find with 39 HP and 3 players? A plant? Sure. Even that might be all he gets. The nade puts him down.
Wow.
To 4 HP.
Okay, khatam.
He can't afford to take
Not
any
possible.
damage along the way, trying to dodge the boom bot, but even finding his opponent's going to be difficult. Nice shot on the first. That's the ultimate, but the spam is enough. We go again with Bai finding another double, and 13-13 the score.
Yeah, this is where it starts to be a bit of deja vu for MIBR. Last time around, a similar story.
Good
Went
comeback,
the
AG.
distance and then some. And this time, again, the snake in the grass of Fangir to start.
Neon BT दे दिया अबे इनको neon BT दे दिया.
Smidge too late. He'd already got 2, and GRQ fighting from that open door was able to trade out to make it an even bigger advantage. Going into the next OT. For all
Oh,
gamers,
अच्छा.
the question is, will Fangir slow down at some point? The answer so far has been a resounding no. Presence to the A site for MIBR. 4 players early on, throwing the season 8, throwing the reveal. Nothing seen. As now the pace picked up by all gamers, and you expect a very direct hit. Tex is going to have his work cut out for him in holding this first burst of aggression, trying to snipe one out of the air, but he'll be forced to play the retake now.
It's a little bit of damage. Spike to Kira. 1 away from the showstopper. Could play a part in the late round, but Spam actually takes down
Good
GRQ.
spam, good spam.
That's a man advantage now. Another opening kill for Aspas to add to the growing collection. Already though, Fang is there again, and he
Neon.
wants the fallback. Finally has fallen down, but there's that showstopper. And now Tex is all that resides once again, and it's Kira to close. 3 kills for the Rays. Lead taken, and the first map point now for all gamers.
Their first chance to close out this series, as said, it felt like they deserved the overtime. It was a crazy first half from this squad. The calls on the attack left MIBR guessing, and they never found the answers that they needed. Now they call a timeout.
Bro, easy గా ML తీసుకునేటోళ్ళు భాయ్ వేస్ట్ చేసి
More than once. And now they have to fight for survival with Aspas topping the board. 27 there, but Fang.
That was easy, bro. Easy.
Has looked like the star
Easy pick చేసేది ఉండే
that last round from the top rope, denying all that space that they were attempting to take back through. It's been so fun to watch, and I do keep waiting for that moment where he slows down. I think the worst I've seen from him is a single missed op shot, but the round before he got 4, so I'll forgive him.
I'd almost be a little bit nervous as well if I'm MIBR to take a pause, because you think back and it's been the all gamers pauses that have gone straight into round victories. I think again, Ed 101 has been sublime, and whatever's been said to these players, be it from losing a streak of 4 rounds in a row to immediate winning 3 of the next 4, the same in the first half as well, 4-4, 8-4 half ending after the pause. He's been impeccable, and now, well, all they need is 1. And MIBR have gifted that pause over to the other side. I will say all gamers had the same opportunity to take a pause, but evidently whatever's been said by the players, he didn't feel like it was necessary on his side.
Well, all gamers, they've really grown into this map. They certainly did into the attack side. Now their defense to be tested from what we've seen, especially for Fangir, but the squad overall, every leaf has been a flower, and now they bloom late, but just in time.
Bro, A side अंदर आपेशिरो.
A 4-man stack up on C. They had their favorite site of this attack side, but things change here in overtime. Here after the pause.
A side है बंद.
The site is wide open. The Vice utility is there, of course, but nobody to do anything off the back of it. The door opens and the Thorns activate. This may send.
They can go to A side, bro.
Vice setup, and you don't know how many players are there. It could be easier to go for the split, but that will work in all gamers' favor. It's attempted.
The terrifying thing as well is, if anything, if you're MIBR, you want those more contacty plays, because the retakes coming out from all gamers have been their best.
Oh, nice one, man.
He was under serious
crazy one.
To get rid of Fangir. He's been the tip of the spear in all of the retakes. Think about it. Using that overdrive, getting in their face while they put
crazy one, the crazy.
Being gone could give them another opportunity.
Well, that's it. We were waiting. What happens when Fangir goes quiet? Well, now a 4v4, and it's all gamers' chance to break back into this. A C's nade thrown down below, a slow at least to buy some time, and the paranoia does the same. The clock keeps ticking. And now
crazy. One more.
Okay, and MIBR are
last
with
player.
Standing against the rising tide of all gamers. The tap on the spike, the swing needed. Now it's already half. He'll get the first, but he won't get anything else. All gamers wash MIBR away.
GG AG. Good one. Crazy play. Crazy play AG.
It's another nightmare that's probably going to keep MIBR up at night. A second defeat at overtime.
Crazy one, AG, crazy.
In just a matter of days. But it shows the resilience of all gamers. We said it at the beginning of the game. I think a lot of teams come in, especially teams with high caliber players who've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and go up against this squad and feel like it's going to be an easy road. And every single time they prove it doesn't matter the opponent, they are able to take it close. They're able to battle and brawl.
GG's.
And well, in map number 1, they're able to take the dub.
Yeah, you maybe say there were signs of it up against Heretics for this squad, but
guys, double tap.
It looks like Lotus might be a bit more of a weak point than we expected, but that's not for us to say. Let's hear from the big brains.
It was crazy, bro.
Thank you very much.
Crazy match.
And Tom, great call, and yet again in overtime, it's heartbreak for MIBR on Lotus. They fall to AGAL, who clutch it out. And I just need to go back to round 22, 23, and 24. Those final 3 in regulation, they were absolutely crazy as we welcome back Kukukin.
ML అయితే చాలా త్రో చేసింది భాయ్. Easy matches thrown by ML.
Crazy headshots. And still, go to overtime, it goes all the way to 8.
Easy rounds, sorry. Easy rounds.
That's what we talk. When you talk
ML easy గా అయిపోయేది.
When you talk about the storylines here at AWC, look at a man like Fangir. This guy came to play today. After the last, after the rest of the group stage, everyone's talking about GRQ. Everyone's like, oh, GRQ might be the guy for this whole gamers team. He comes in and goes, no, it's all about me, guys. Take a look at my neon. Look what I can do. Look how I can make this operator work. MIBR had no answers, and they have, when we talk about the all-star operator players, they have the guy. They have Aspas.
It is him. It do be him. Seriously, what a
Aspas crazy game.
Also start off the map. Do not forget, at the end of the day, as we said, they are coming in as being the underdog. MIBR should be the favorite here, but we have to say, all gamers, not for a second, not in this match and not in previous matches, have shown any kind of fear to the opponent that they have in front of them. And what a moment also to be here and be
Aspas was crazy, bro. Crazy shit.
Once they managed to get into overtime and get and save that spike plant that was absolutely insane. From then, the momentum was on their side.
Yeah, I mean, I think they stole away so many rounds. Fangir did it. The rest did it. My mind goes back to that 5v2 retake MRBR had, but they got shut down because the individual prowess on this AG team. I think MRBR couldn't hang with them in the server there, which feels insane to say when we look at the names on this MRBR squad. Now, don't get me wrong, Aspas really pulled his weight. So did Tech, someone who's had a little bit of a slower tournament, but he did a great job on that cypher. But ultimately, it's not enough here on Lotus, and this is MIBR's map pick.
Yeah, and I know Verno is IGLing this squad, but he was at 1-9 in the first half.
Tough.
It's very difficult to get yourself across the line. He finishes 10-19, so carried a little bit more, at least going 1-1 in the second half, but it was such a slow start from him.
Seriously, the resilience that all gamers is showing, if you add it on top of getting in the head of your opponents, like for example, Verno must have not been having a very good time at the beginning of that map. If you add on so many of the circumstances, they were able to turn around where they were one man down, did not matter. The refracts came in very fast. Something also that Tom was highlighting. Fangir was so proactive even when it was time to flood, when it was time to retake. Again, so on top of their game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just so impressed. I think especially the macro in that first half for all gamers. I think when people talk about the CN region, people often don't mention macro, right? It's sort of not what they're known for, and if anything, they're put down about it internationally. But I didn't get that impression at all. And even when we watched all gamers against Heretics, I feel like game planning is very, very strong. I'm very enormously impressed with this roster.
Man, what's happening with Lotus?
It's always OT.
If you want to be here forever,
ML.
there has not been like maybe one.
ML ki cheriye dam.
Well, BBL, no? Bar.
Yeah,
Lotus ML.
A couple of rounds there with the 3K that kicked it off, but then Tex clutches it out, and then of course the stun during the plant gets the kill, waits out the timer, does AGAL to force overtime, and then Aspas getting this opening kill here in overtime. You're thinking this is it, but AGAL battled back on that round as well. It was a fantastic map of Lotus here.
Again, it's all gamers, so the shooting is going to be absolutely incredible. That is the
My
show
bad.
is guaranteed when they are on the stage. It doesn't matter if it's against Team Heretics, now against MIBR. I think that after getting
Crazy one,
even
crazy
though
one,
Frankie
though.
was like, I am not losing this.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
These are the type of games that make me love Valorant. When you have those moments where someone is able to step up, be that hero, I love watching it unfold on the stage. MIBR have to find a way to bounce back here, or they will be eliminated from EWC.
And as always, like I like to do on my desk, I do the callbacks. And you said earlier, we talked about GR.
ML game was crazy, bro.
We gave shout-outs to Kira, but
They can't.
Fangir is the guy that
Valor
is
Indigoral.
here for this roster and hasn't had that opportunity yet, but he does so here today in that first map.
He showed just how capable he can be. That's what we saw for them at the start of the year. That's what we were all expecting to see in Santiago, but they couldn't make it work over there. The one win, but ultimately not enough for them. But right now, if he can continue this form that we're seeing from him right here, I think his name will become bigger and bigger. One map away from playoffs now. He might have a shot to do this on the biggest stage.
KC Academy, what can I say? It's all the talent comes from EMEA. We just nurture all of them. It's good to see though the Fangir, because as you're saying, the beginning of the year it was his realm.
Yes.
He played so incredibly well, and he was the difference maker in this team. Everybody tries to speak English for him. He's learning a little bit, here and there, but he's definitely worth the effort.
Well, MIBR are now down to their last loss before leaving EWC 2026, but their guns can change their fate. Will they be able to do so? We'll find out after the
They can. Easy, man. వాళ్ళు ఈజీగా తీసేస్తారు చెప్తున్నా ML capable, bro. They were crazy playing.
Play is in our DNA. Whenever
अरे ये तो पॉज करना है भाई,
an entire city,
ये नहीं लगाना क्या है?
सर ये क्या चल रहा है? सर मुझको एक बार बस बता तो दीजिए कि बॉडी है कि क्या है?
पीएम साहब से बात हुई है आपकी?
ये आंखों के सामने सब कुछ हुआ और हम उनके साथ उनके लिए कुछ
चलो चलो चलो, ये तो नहीं दिखाना क्या है? मैं तो भूल ही गया। क्रेजी मैच में क्रेजी मैच। लो भाई किधर हो?
मैं सो रहा हूँ।
अच्छा ठीक है, सो जाओ।
क्या हुआ?
कुछ नहीं, डिस्कॉर्ड आओगे क्या बोल के पूछा था।
अच्छा, कितना टाइम हुआ?
अभी 5:44। ठीक है ठीक है
ठीक है।
ठीक है ठीक है। चलो
Final opportunity for VCT China to have representation in the EWC playoffs is up to AGAL, and they're on the right start. 1-0 over MIBR Los. Tiga
Yes.
here alongside Kukuka and Big Time. That was a lot of acronyms that I just did, Big Time. However, there is no question about what I mean, which is MIBR. I have their backs against the wall and need to figure it out.
Yeah, look, this is a fantastic roster. We all know it. We all know how everybody knows these names. If you know Valorant, and this is a squad that should be amazing. This is a squad that should be winning. It's a squad that should be lifting trophies, but they're not managing to do it. It looked like maybe EWC could be different after that opening game, smashing through Global Esports, but then they dropped to the lower bracket. Now it's ultimately backed against the wall for this superstar, high-powered squad, perhaps going out to all gamers of all teams, which is not something you would ever expect on paper.
Stop disrespecting all gamers. They're all of the gamers. They're here to win, okay? No. I get it, because
चिल्ला रही है
this happened previously in
अगर
Valorant,
बोलते नहीं
where we have squads that have very good names, players that have performed incredibly in the past. And I think that there is a very big difference between not winning trophies, not this, is that, to getting grouped.
Yeah,
That is a big difference. And you can say whatever you want, you can speak about form, you can speak about whatever. The years have been fairly similar. If you were in top 4 in the last global event, what were you doing? What were you doing? Like, what is the excuse?
Sat at home.
To not give it your everything here.
Yeah.
All gamers is doing it.
Yeah, no, I
Gamers is
totally
doing
agree.
it.
I think for me, it doesn't even matter how the rest of this series shakes up. All gamers have a new fan in me today. I will be watching quite seriously from now on, because I think they've shown that they can hang with the very, very best. I've been so impressed with the macro, the IGLing, leadership, the backroom staff. The game planning is rock solid, but then also you add onto that the firepower, the flashy plays, Fangia's ability with the op, GRQ when he's on top of the world, he's looking brilliant. So I think this is a squad that can really make some damage here at EWC.
Especially when you have a lot of the big names have already gone out and now are making space for a name to be made, like for AGAL, when Fnatic doesn't qualify for the tournament, when Paper X goes crashing out, when RRQ doesn't have it going as well. Now is an opportunity for AGAL to step up.
Yeah, not to mention EDG and XLG, right? They had fantastic performances over in London. They re-put CN back on the map, but it's those two that are already out. They don't have that chance. Now it's all gamers having to fly that flag for VCT CN. Can they bring that representation to the playoffs as we move across here onto Split?
Yeah, and all gamers decided this, they picked this map As you can see in the graphic right now for the side of MIBR, they played it last in the qualifier here to EWC versus Leviathan. For all gamers, they won on it against Global Esports. They already have a little bit of a
Crazy match, crazy match, crazy match.
the confidence. We were speaking about GRQ, the cheeky plays here and there. Guys, we need to learn how to open angles together. We cannot one opens the other one.
Sigro, maybe Sigro.
One that just jumps later onto the side. We still need to work on those synergies. I know that the pressure is very, very high onto them. They're still going for
Yes,
the hit.
yes.
Do not get me wrong. And of
बहुत
course,
है,
all
बहुत
the
है.
pressure right now is on MIBR.
Yeah, I love it that in this map now, the backs are truly against the wall. It's a pure mirror matchup. Fangear is going to be head-to-head against Aspas on that jet. Everybody's going to know how to play this comp. You know what the other team is going to want to do. It's all about execution. It's all about who's performing in the server. No excuses left here.
A mirror match here in map number 2 as we head on over to Split. AGAL 1 win away from booking their ticket into the playoffs. MIBR got to dig deep. They were close on their map pick, but now have to come up with the upset. Let's send it on over to Tom and Mitch.
Thank you, D-Gon. All gamers, one map to the good, stepping into Split, Tom. This is definitely a step up from them. MIBR, a team that I think almost everybody expects to see in playoffs, but now they're in danger of going out in the groups.
Yeah, I think especially when you look at the group that they're in, I think getting to this stage, you put them up against all gamers, and I think, again, if you've not watched much of all gamers or only seen the little bit at Master Santiago, you might be going, okay, yeah, they beat one team here and there, but then they weren't able to take anyone else down. Well, this squad is looking legit at the moment, like a lot of depth of talent. I think especially we didn't see the best game from Shrimp, but there were definitely other players that stepped up while he was fantastic earlier in the tournament. Bangir just had probably his best map of the tournament so far. And we look at the other side and like Aspas was still performing well. Tex had a great map. It wasn't
सब लोग अच्छे परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं वही लोग नहीं
their own map choice. And now
सारे अच्छे खेल रहे हैं मतलब उन्होंने अंदर मत छाड़ दो
it is their opponent's choice, but I think it's one where they have looked relatively comfortable in the past, like going head to head with some pretty good teams regionally. It's just whether or not, like, if they're going to have enough to take us to a third map.
It's crazy to lose a game as well. Like in that last one, MIBR went +10.
everyone wants PSG man.
I was telling you.
Aspas. Yeah, like it's wild to have it spin back in favor of all gamers like that, but you said Fangear was that savior who pulled back so many of the rounds for them. MIBR starting the attack side here.
Shinu plays, hello Shinu bhai, namaste, welcome to the stream.
To go meet the rest of the squad. And those
Congratulations.
last forever, and finally they will make it through. In the nick of time, the plant without any advantages found though. They were hoping that someone from All Gamers would give them a fight, give them a scrap, and now they have to go looking for it. Deep push in towards the spawn.
That was good.
And they've got a foothold now. Now it's more on All Gamers to fight back.
They know they've lost screens. And reclaiming that is going to be difficult. Bai was waiting to try and make the move round to it's not the greatest
Good one.
for the side.
AG diffuse.
In fact,
AG diffuse.
one already to half. They need to get a move on. They're just looking to try and defuse it in front of their noses, and nobody gets anywhere near it. MIBR was so
Bro.
ready to try the wraparound, but the plant just wasn't for that position.
MIBR
They planted for backside.
तुम तो बिहार बन गया भाई.
They pushed in. It was a couple seconds left on them, but not enough to go planting. Up for heaven, a piece of utility to disrupt, and all of a sudden you're on the
Easy play, man.
to the spawn. Sure, it works out, but like you said, the plant isn't for there. And the second that All Gamers get some presence on the site, get boots on the ground, it already flips things massively in their favor. That is a big pistol pickup. Fangear again showing that he's still got chops in this mirror matchup. And an eco coming out of MIBR. That's a spam on the back of the tap. GRQ doesn't get anything for it, and hold on. Now he's in danger. Never mind. He'll go down eventually, but the work has been done.
Yeah, comfortable in the end. I think as well, that one thing I'm loving the most about Fangear is I think there would be a lot of people who go into this game and go like, look at the careers of the players on the other side. Like these are players that have been to champions, that have won champions, won masters. Like there's so much depth in terms of who has been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
अरे फिर क्या कर रहे हैं अब जाके?
Not even for a second. Like he's like, I'm gonna full stick.
क्या कर रहे हैं फिर?
Guys are nearby, cool. If not,
मरेंगे.
like it is
ये
just
लोग मरेंगे.
confident player. No matter who he is dropped over into this round an SMG for buy, but there's definitely some vulnerabilities, and because of that, the defense are going pushing.
All gamers not scared of their opposition.
Rushing, bro.
Sure, it's a blitz, but Mizzino was
Nice.
plenty of backup there. I don't want to see him push that with the spike, and thankfully he does cancel that aggression. Might be time to flee, but MIBR show no signs of running away, of turning tail. Instead, they're looking to fight their way back through. The dog's going to make it all group. The stun on Shrimp ends his life after one trades for MIBR to start. And the main thing about this is it's dangerous when that low buy comes running at you. It's dangerous when some of your players can potentially be isolated, but MIBR stayed calm and just clumped together to deal with it, obviously with the exception of Tex, who was the flank control.
MIBR, last man
I'm
standing.
gonna paranoia my own teammate because he's close enough that it doesn't matter, and I don't want to.
He will be saving, I think.
So clearly happy to hold.
या
it.
तो एक या दो को पिक
Hey,
करेगा.
I don't mind it from all gamers. Like, you got a weaker buy, you got SMGs. I don't even think they had one like full price rifle.
क्या घूम रहा है भाई?
So just go for something risky. You catch them, you have a far higher chance to win the round.
Also, I think it's good limit testing as well. Like, you do something like that and you just see, what do the opponents do? Like,
Yeah, how
do
do
they
they
hear
react?
4 of us rushing and they instantly run to the A site? Then we know that a little bit of early aggression could potentially push them into our heavier I think it's a really good idea to get aggro, but MIBR contained that aggression.
Chi bro.
That's a rifle now, and he's just going to pop the snake bite and run for the hills.
Nope.
Really not bad in terms of a low buy. You get out with an extra gun, you drop 2 of their guns.
బే ఫాల్తూ ఇచ్చేసిండు.
Be quite
పోయి.
happy with that as well. 3 players alive versus the low buys. They've definitely had some troubles here and there with losing players to pistols. So I don't think either side are going to be too disappointed.
Easy matches are getting to be lost.
Voters like, screw it. If they're gonna run
ML కి ఎంత మంచి ఛాన్సెస్ ఉన్నాయి.
they do it.
కానీ వాళ్ళు
But this is
సరిగా చేస్తలే.
the game really should
అచ్చా
go
నైకి
well.
వెళ్తా.
Rifles across the board.
ఫస్ట్ మ్యాచ్ లో క్రేజీ ఆడిన బ్రో.
Gonna
మెయిన్లీ వాడోడు మన
put into play.
ఆస్పాస్ అనే ప్లేయర్ ఏక్ నంబర్ ఆడి.
Seem like there's heavy shields across the board.
Crazy
Not gonna be
shit.
an insta-kill. In fact, he's not going to land the shot at all.
Banger's movement was nice, but Vernon was not on their heels. And MIBR, they have made this one
Good one,
look
Bay.
incredibly easy.
ML
Running it down on that A site and taking every fight with great success. And another sign that's
Crazy
important,
play.
Verno online early on. Like we said, he had a really tough start. The desk talked about it as well, but
crazy
certainly
shit.
didn't let that knock his confidence. You could see him straight up into heaven for that brawl. And GRQ finds Aspis at least. It's some sort of reinvestment.
ఇప్పుడే కదరా పొగిడింది. అప్పుడే ఎందుకురా ఇట్లా చేస్తావు?
Throw themselves at this just to remove the weapons. At least to start, Aspis was.
జస్ట్ ఇప్పుడే ఇట్లా చెప్పిన మంచిగా నీ గురించి.
A bit more patience on the
అప్పుడే
ball.
చచ్చిపోయాడు.
And I like that. They've already got 2 players that are fully invested into this round.
Saving.
If you lose a few more players, it could definitely get costly and sort of ruin that leg up that you've given yourself. Give all gamers a chance to steam back into the lead. So 2-2 we go. And the question is, for the defensive side, like, saving 2 weapons here, it puts them in a spot where they could force buy around it, especially with the validity of, like, a judge on this map, for example,
I
playing
think
up in
they'll
heaven.
half.
But I think, playing around those rifles and saving...
Good one, ML.
The other thing as well, I want to bring it up with you mentioning Verno. I think that ultimately, on the attack side of the last map, he was okay. It was the defensive side where they were being pushed and pulled across. So the fact that they've got that attack side start might actually help him out individually. Because he can now just go like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm TPing up. I'm making these aggressive plays. I'm taking space alongside Aspas and being a thorn in their side rather than trying to figure out what the opponents are doing. And well, you mentioned it. It is more of that half bite. 3 rifles in play.
Oh.
Pistols already.
अच्छा मारा ना टेक्स ने.
Side completely under the control of the attack.
Crazy one.
Fangir's trying his best to get a pot shot or 2 off. And indeed, a walk up from Bai is quite aggressive.
Bro.
Caught by Aspis for free.
ఏజీ వాళ్ళని ఒకటేసారి బుర్రే అంతే ఆడుతున్నారు.
Catch someone by surprise, but
Nice.
that hasn't worked out this
देखो
time.
देखो
All the
देखो.
rifles that they've got left, a decision perhaps you could carry them through to the next. And they're at least doing that with one of them. Kira's on the A site.
Ozi दे दिया.
Imagine he's going for the latest flank of
Wow.
all time. But for Fangir, he's been good every
Nice
time.
one. Easy.
Costly, because look at MIBR's credits. Already in an extremely good spot. Winning this round with all 5 alive is going to make
ఎన్నిసార్లు సేవ్ చేస్తారు ఆ గన్నని
is going to be stacked against all gamers.
सीवर में बैठ गया.
Yeah, and I also want to say I like the compositional switch that came out from MIBR because obviously
ఒక్క నిమిషం.
on the other side it's not like they've reinvented the wheel or anything, but I do just look at these agents as comfortable. Like I love seeing Aspas on the Jet. I think we have done for years. I think Zekken on the Rays also just gives both of them this more sort of aggressive tandem. I think Verno swapping, I believe, with Mazzino, like one of them now playing the Initiator. They do this anyway, with depending on what the Initiator is, but putting him onto the Omen, we already saw the impact that it can have, with him currently being 5-1 on the board. This looks like a very comfortable composition for MIBR. And even just some of the early rounds, the fact that Aspas is, again, he's taking that aggressive space with the dashes and the follow-up. It's very similar to the previous map, which worked great. Like, that was the bit of their gameplay that was fantastic, was when they get the entry, when they get these more direct plays, their execution is fantastic because the guy at the tip of the spear is one of the best entry fraggers in the world.
Now, like you said, all gamers have been having a lot of success off the back of these timeouts, but this one does feel a little bit more difficult because on the defense, how it's panned out for them so far has been, well, they haven't gotten to play strong retakes, barring those first 2. They are constantly having to save. They're constantly having to call it off with 2 players left alive, even there in a 3v5, because they only had the 2 rifles. One guy's going to save. They haven't been able to avoid the early aggression with... they haven't been able to avoid the early aggression at all, and they haven't been able to deal with it in those heads-up battles. Think about the A-site full buy. It literally looked like MIBR walked into an eco. In fact, I think it would have been more dangerous against an eco because there probably would have been more players there. So for all gamers, it isn't just about finding the solution. It's about avoiding that early burst, not losing 2 players in the initial aggression from MIBR, and all the while MIBR now come in and pump the brakes themselves. I imagine they're expecting to see some pointed aggression from the defense now. Okay, we can't sit back and wait. We have to instead fight for mid, or we got to push A main, or we need the info early. But that hasn't been the approach. It seems like they're just taking much more passive positions overall.
It might be a change-up because of the operator. Gives you a little bit more of an avenue to find those opening picks a little bit quicker. Mid seems to be the point of call for Banger, and it's something that we're yet to see in this game. Already, he's been smoked off, but he does not care! He's just faster than anybody else. Straight into mid. Tex didn't even get a chance to blink, and he's already gone. The read they have, though, is wrong. The flash might just give the game away. Instead, the execution coming through from MIBR. This time, they don't have that tip of the spear. It's Zekken to try and fill the void, and he's gone down immediately. Shrimp doing well, and in fact, everybody stepping up to the plate.
I'm back.
A lot of damage, though, but so is Mazzino.
And now the opposite position.
Given है क्या?
Knowing Verno's in that corner, knowing that Mazzino is in main, but he can't afford to lose as he is so desperately low. It's on to Verno. 5-1. A big step up from the performance earlier on, but he has to plant. Before that, he wants a pick, and that will be the end of him from what we can see. Fangir swung in, but the rest of the squad did just the same, and all gamers, they managed to seal a pretty convincing round off.
I'd love to see that from Tex's point of view. Because it's literally like there is a half second where he reveals himself through the smoke, insta hits the shot, and it makes things so difficult because then you have the immediate gamble of the third player over onto the other side of the map, and then the flash that comes through that gives them all the information on the other side. Sure, though, those 2 players still had to do well, but you don't have that 1-2 punch of Aspas and Zekken. It was just Zekken that went in first and definitely became a little bit more troublesome.
Well, Seekers right away. MIBR going for a much more pointed attack. The B side under threat. Kira had a rough time so far, and the Seekers seems to have... The upside for their defense on Lotus, they were very good at the retakes. Blade Storm from Aspas to deal with, though, could be a different story, and the Showstopper certainly will.
Get rid of any chance of having smokes on the retake. That's going to make it a lot more difficult Denied the dog, but needs a little more. 2 quick kills coming up for the defensive side on the way back through. Even still, though, Zekken's there again, and because of that, he has a nade. Up above comes Fangir, but it's only the one. Trading evenly once again, leaves it close, and down to just Verno! And he's definitely back in
Good
the
one,
silver
ML.
after map 1. Another high-impact round for the IGL.
When he's 8-2 now, yeah, that's definitely a different flavor than what we saw from Verno starting out the previous map. As you said, it might change when we swap sides. That's where the pressure was put onto him, but seeing a slow start here would be even more worrying. Giving them a lifeline. In 2 buy rounds now, Verno has been the difference maker for this squad, and considering they've only got 4 on the board, not 4 buy rounds, 4 rounds overall.
उनका साइड से बफर है.
It's no surprise that he's our highlight. All gamers, right back in with a full buy, right back in with the operator. 3 players towards the A site, and it looks like again MIBR are going to play this very pointed aggression. It's why the op is such a good counter to this.
Boombot का meetup हो गया.
But if it's in the wrong place, the rest of the squad will have to answer up. Kira does well to get one, but the trades firmly in favor of MIBR.
ML crazy.
It's what this composition does best. You have the Jet, you have the Raze, you have a Sky for the flash, and you're in as quick as possible. Viper's Pit for the post, and this becomes an incredibly harsh retake, especially when you have an operator. That operator goes from being your most valuable asset to a weakness. And in the last round, they had a Blade Storm. Well, they don't have that anymore. Bai's trying to find a gap. That gap
Wow, crazy.
Zeno instead, and for the remaining couple, do you want to throw the operator into this? You might just now. That's one, but that time is too far gone. It's a consolation frag and a lead extension for MIBR.
Yeah, this is their way back through. A strong attack side already on split from MIBR. Some of the quieter players in that first half of Lotus finding their rhythm early on. And I guess looking across, though, for Fangir, for Aspis, definitely taking a step back. And it makes sense when you look at the Jet on this map. For Fangir, or for Aspis, sorry, playing on
Crazy MIBR.
on the attack side, but you look at it from the perspective of Fangir, things have slowed. And
Crazy
I
backup
think
था.
that, in my mind, that's not so much a danger as it is, it's a matter of time before he finds that rhythm again.
Wrong place, wrong time. That's been the issue so far, is when his operator was in position, when he swung mid, perfect. But it almost feels like he's reactionarily moving. So, okay, they hit B fast the last couple of rounds, let me go B. Now they're not doing that anymore. 3 players walking up A. The spike about to rejoin the rest of the players on that side of the map. And sure, you get the early
A पे
warning
plant हो रहा है.
of those sky flashes, but it only tells you that
A पे हो
someone's
सकता.
dead. It doesn't go 5 players. They don't have a clue, so they can't gamble everything over. The deep position allows them a 3rd player,
Bro.
maybe a little more
Shit.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean,
अंत गली चाहता रहा ब्रो. आश्रय के लिए.
up by Bai,
अटला यूज़
they
है.
are falling like flies, one at a time.
Smoke load up on the lens. Smoke edge and then इंचरा मारो.
Rotates in. Texas up against numbers on this cross.
Wow.
Won't even get close. A double jump peek onto Messino. Well, certainly got the shot out of him. To be fair, he could run to the B site for the plant, but he'll have to get through a few players if that's to even be a possibility. I do agree, for Fangir, it feels
AG
so
comeback.
lucky. You look at the last round, he's on the A side, he's ready to pick them. And I do like the
Comeback
idea
round only.
for MIBR. They play contact up to the choke points, then they burst out of the choke points and overwhelm you. How do you counter that? You hold ahead of the choke point with an operator. They walk into you, easy pickup. But Fangir's done that every round, and every round he's been sat there while his teammates on the other side of the map go, yeah, we got nade, we got paranoias coming, there's dash. It's been an annoyance for him for sure, but he's still 7-5. And we see him there in the late round have success. Just wait till he's on the right side of the map.
Maybe this will be the one. Looking like more of a mid-press for MIBR. Of course, last time they played this map, it was the attack where they managed an 8-4 versus Leviathan. I believe that was in the qualifier to make it to this event. Where they sent the previous Masters winners.
Nice one.
Already, Verno, who has been the best player so far for MIBR, is gone from this round, and not only does that cause the problem of your top fragger going down, but also your smokes, your paranoia. Leaves you with limited utility, this double duelist, and we're right back to contact again, but that contact has a pop flash ready, and the pop flash has blinded a couple, but nobody actually reacts off it.
I think that's going to give the game away. The smoke is delaying slightly, but this looks now like an A hit. The fake goes through towards the
Bro.
that will keep them in position a moment longer, but it thins the herd for MIBR. And towards the A side, 30 seconds left. They still have to get past Bai, who has been a consistent menace for this squad. The snake bite stops the wrap around, and he'll catch the spike on the way across. Now they've got Kira to deal with and the TP from GRQ. 15 seconds to get that plan through, and both will be dealt with. MIBR looked like they were against
Crazy, man.
odds, but now it's back to even.
Kira could have just played the time, but I felt like an attempt to be a hero, maybe not realizing that Tex was still up above, and
Crazy picks.
gave them a way back into the round. The duo that was so impactful over on Lotus. Can they drag home around impatient from the attack? They're not giving anything. You can even see it. Banger is expecting a wraparound, fully looking towards the heavens, and again, the second the dash is sent out, Tex is
Crazy.
there to punish.
Tex మంచి ఆడుతున్నాయి ఈ మ్యాచ్.
That before his eyes ended up with the death of an All Gamers player.
Great work by Tex as well. That backside hold. He ends up finding a triple, and then all the while waiting for the wraparound to come in. This round did not look like it was going to come even close for MIBR. 2 versus 4. A player waiting on the A side. The TP taken from GRQ. It was even a 5v2, no, because Bai was alive initially, getting picked off on the cross. And to end up with control
Technical
back in your
pause.
favor there is definitely something that's going to put a smile on your face. A little bit of a tech pause coming in from all gamers. We're getting towards the end of the half. I think it's a good moment for players to take a breather as well, though.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, the moment in that round that fully felt like a bit of a throw was when Kira Blast packs up. It's like, you want the kill badly enough that you're going to try and offset your opponent, but if you just sit in the back with the showstopper, there really is nothing they can do, and all you have to do is get one.
They also don't know that he's there at that point, right? They knew about the TP from GRQ, or at least they could assume it. They knew about Bai, but they hadn't spotted Kira, unless I'm mistaken. And so even the showstopper activated, even just sitting there, there's a chance that they're so pigeonholed on the time, because it was like 10 seconds left to plant, that they just rush in to go for it. And you get the pickup, you get the round. It's a little over-eager, a little jumpy.
I don't
try and close the round
The thing
out.
is, I don't hate the showstopper with, like, what was it, like 15 to 18 seconds left. It's more so just
wait.
Yeah, if you just stand there, they then have to run at you. And I think that's actually what Tex did fantastically, was just, okay, just wait, and a player flies into his crosshair.
Mention that, mention.
It's not a bad one, but it's a good recovery. And finally, one of those cut rounds actually going the way of MIBR. I think back to the first map, and a lot of the time it was them with the advantages. You mentioned it with the opening duels. They were getting a lot of them. And then all gamers were able to fight back. Half equal at a minimum, and considering they lost pistol in second round for MIBR, this is already a pretty decent half on the attack. But they're going to want a little bit more, and right back to regular programming. It's looking like a fast A hit.
Smoke and
Crazy.
okay,
in the right
Gears
place.
taking down Tech somehow. A spam straight through, and it's going to be a 5 versus 4 in the post plant. All gamers, as we've said, very confident when it comes to those retakes that they can get on the site. There's a Viper's Pit, and if not, it's there for the next. Good work by Shrimp. He's been so consistent in this half, and he's kept the advantage in their court. That little sneaky spot by Aspis will be checked. Jumping
Bro.
Kira drew the eyes, so GRQ could find the hedge.
Nice
and
one.
leave second all alone. Was against 4. The first is his, but time ticking. He can try to use that to his advantage, but finding these picks should be nearly impossible. Box.
Nice one.
Nice work, and the nade thrown out could buy time. He's evaded the shots to start with, but the
Yeah, ND, be.
as
ND,
tight
ND.
as it will be, there is enough time on that clock for all gamers to push up to 5.
It's a nice attempt in a scenario that definitely felt impossible, and I think you might have been sat there at home going, yeah, these guys are talking an awful lot about if Fanga was in the right place, the right time. And I don't know what they're on about. Well, this is the example. Like 3 kills, an opening kill, 1 on the way back in, and then 1 to close the round. Like this guy, when he is in position, has been a real problem for MIBR, but it is just the all-in gamble every single time of if he's in the right place at the right time. A chance for a 6-6. Maybe not the greatest defensive half from all gamers, but if they go in level, they won't mind. That's an immediate showstopper, and it's close. Bai is down to 40 HP, but will live to tell the tale. Is he going to get back into the vibe spot? I don't think he can.
No, he's going to let it fade. With Aspis holding up close, it would have been a risky fight. The judge invading with the decay, but Aspis on the other side. Not a gamble they wanted to take. Bai forced back by the grenade as well, but Kira does really well. It's a triple for Kira. He'll fall in the end. Tex and Verno still have some life left to give. But an AWP waiting for an overextension. In fact, he drops it just the wrong moment, picks up the judge, and it's a little bit of an oopsie. Now look who's posted on the angle, or who was. It's Tex right down below. He's managed to slip the net.
I've got your trail.
The Seekers will find him, though.
Ooh, that makes it a little bit more awkward. 35 seconds, they've still got time to play with. MIBR are hoping that somebody makes a mistake. That might have been it. A quick double for this attack side. And Shrimp still expecting further aggression. And well, to be honest, he might be right. They're still not planting just yet. Are they about to try and hightail it to the other side? It'll be very late. No, they want to make sure that the spawn is clear. Another smoke. Another attempt to get that plant in. This one will be stuck, and in the meantime, Shrimp is going to try with the spam, and has managed to catch it. That was the planter. This time, Tex now has to stick it all the way through. His opponent gets a chance to reaggress. The orb utilized on the other side, and a
good one, man.
From Tex to escape.
Again,
another nice attempt for Shrimp, but it will be MIBR to go in with a lead at the half.
Yeah, I think Tex finishes that one with double digits in terms of kills, and I think every single one was high.
Good one, man. Good one.
In the same boat as well. They both stepped up to the plate in a big way during this first half, and MIBR now with a lead at the halftime. That's got to be a big upside for them to bring us to a map 3. It feels like the wind's in their sails, but I won't be finding myself counting all gamers out. Remember how this started. They were not able to deal with the pressure. Well, that's not going to be the case for them anymore. No, they get to dictate that pace. And considering it's still a close half after them being deactivated in those kind of round 3 to 5, it's still anyone's game.
Yeah, it's worth saying that both teams on the previous map were able to win it out over on their attack side. And then their defense felt like much more of a grind. I think both teams able to, well, in the case of all gamers play with the rotations, and on the other side, the more direct entry style was working wonderfully for them. Even still, though, I think MIBR not winning the pistol and coming out with 7 rounds.
Crazy play.
I think multiple either 2v3 or 2v4s that they had to clutch out, but it's definitely looking like a better scenario for them rather than I would say in the last map where they needed that 4-0 start to have the closer attack side.
Feels like the competition a bit tighter. That was a great round as well. We just saw in the replay from Zach in the 2.5 seconds, considering he was
really crazy ఆడిండు A1 రా.
Almost taking out a player. And even there for Shrimp. What a try. The spam, the reposition, the flash down to try to cancel the plant, force the fight. It was a very nice try, but Tex in those clutch moments finds himself in the post plant backside. Something activates in, and we saw it on both sides of the map. And now we come in to have all gamers. Still, and the thing for them, they're down by 2, but they know this is a chance to close the series, to take it 2-0, to send MIBR home and lock in playoffs. And a pistol round could put them right back to neck and neck, considering how the attack went last map. Yeah, as we said, MIBR not out of the woods yet. This pistol could make it a bit more comfortable for the defense.
Yeah, they are. The only representative of China left. MIBR look to join 100 Thieves and NRG. Maybe even G2 2 later in the day. It could be 4v4 in terms of Americas versus EMEA. Depending on how these two last games of the
America.
He's already going to spot a couple, but this is a ruse again. This
America
is exactly what we
kete.
spoke about when it came to Lotus. You have what looks like an all-in play early, even give information to the other side, and then they have this slow walk-up. It's only going to be the one player. It almost makes me question, are they going to go back again? It looks like they are. This is like ruse on ruse on ruse on ruse, and I can't really blame MIBR for being in the wrong place. Yeah, they're going back.
It's the same as what we saw on Lotus, Tom. All gamers were pulling the threads, using MIBR like puppets.
Yeah, there you go. You see it from Mazino go, okay, they are now on A, but now they have a backstab of their raise and a second one in the form of Shrimp.
Exactly. Normally it's Bai who's left behind to play those roles, but all they have to do here is delay. This is the problem, though. If MIBR do go direct, if they go quickly into the site, those flanks won't matter. The position, at least, of the plant is for heaven, but
Good one, good entry.
clean
Mar gaya.
the site immediately. GRQ trying his best to slow them down. The heaven position needs,
Bro.
but he will not find anything. And MIBR, that's what I said, right? They're grouped up, they're in that clump, so when it comes to the retake, they're not waiting for the guy that's coming from the south side that's inside.
Easy one, bro.
They don't care about any of that. They're ready to go the second that they get to the choke point.
I really like that as a pistol round from MIBR, because that was their major problem on the last map, was they've gone this way, then that way, then this way, and then I've rotated through spawn, and I've been killed by a late flank. They then implanted a player on B as I leave B, I get killed by that guy, and then it's like, okay, now we have a 3v5 retake. Instead, okay, all 5 of us wait somewhere in the middle of the map. We then rotate all together. Even if we trade 1 for 1, we come out far more even than before. And then in this case, Aspas hits.
వీడియో ఎవడు కావాలంటే వీడిది ఉరుకుతున్న కామెంటరీ వాడు.
We are now the panicky team.
నేనుంటే అట్లా చేస్తా, నేనుంటే ఇట్లా చేస్తా అంటున్నాడు గొర్రెడు.
It's going to be a full eco from all gamers, as you'd expect.
Commentator
Across the board.
कैसे खेलता हमको का.
Noya left just to take fence. Already a bit of an investment, even with that piece of utility thrown through.
Nice one.
You've lost Kira, no nades
Nice.
around, no smokes anymore with GRQ down, but if they can find another pick or two.
मैन ऑफ द मैच टेक्स्ट फॉर या तो इसको देना पड़ेगा आसपास को. Crazy play.
Bulldogs, you even have some players playing low by for the finals and so on. It's SMGs, it's a Marshall. Losing these for the next won't be the end of the world, and I think 2 picks probably won't get any sweat on the brow of the defense
Nice.
side. We'll need it to be a little bit more than that, and it
Nice.
doesn't look like we'll get any more than the 1. Last man is Shrimp. Spike in his control at the very least, and there we go. I was going to say, Zakin must be aware that he could be coming from screens, and he looked at it and now backs off to concede that space and punish him when he walks out a little, or not even punish him when he walks out a little further. That's good.
GG's.
Nice work. MIBR with 9, and I think they did a good job of avoiding the real dangers around mid there.
GG man, GG.
This looked like a round of just like
Guys, double tap यार people.
the conversion.
लोग double tap करो.
We have a chance to farm up orbs. We can go for something risky in close range. Like I think Split allows you to do that.
Nice.
You can play some angles where
ये crazy था बे.
light shields. That Spectre can do a lot of work. Same with the Stinger. But also, if they don't, if I sit on a tight angle, I have a chance to win that battle. So it means that the likelihood of winning this round is a lot less than if you go for all the rifles. But also, it means that you're not going to have crazy costly rounds if you lose those rifles.
Yeah, you're not going to have weapons recovered by the opponents that are really that scary up against you. And with the way that the economy's going, they'll have an operator as soon as they want it in the hands of Aspas.
Or light shields.
Indeed. For all gamers, there's especially close range. Like those SMGs are now going to find a much easier fight. When push comes to shove, look how they're set up as well. Initially, there was the attempt of a crossfire in mid, but there is still that setup towards A main. From what we can see, all gamers want to take it in this direction. 2 mid, Spike outside A. It's just clearly going to be a split there, and I think that info should be pieced together by the defense by now. They might think that they've gone back on A main, I suppose. Re-clear of the flash and B.
Guys, सब लोग double tap guys.
All gamers are going to have rotations coming
Subscribe भी करो थोड़ा.
flank underway. It's time to pick up the pace.
Oh, a tight low angle that's not been cleared. Tex is the snake in the grass, a chance to do so much damage first.
Nice one,
and
nice one, nice
second
one.
as well. This gives
Ek number.
Aspas an opportunity.
Ek
but
number.
those light shields, and that's where the Spectre is all the more deadly. He's landed his shots and left it all onto Bai, and they don't have to peek. They can just wait for him to go for a plant. There's only 15 seconds. He doesn't have much on the clock to play with. He's being flanked as well. There's still a flash available, and he desperately needs someone to fight him. And when they do,
Easy जीत रही है. ML easy win. आराम से गेलुस्ता.
That duo of Tex and Aspas is not necessarily one. You look at their roles, you go, well, they're not going to play in tandem. But the way they play off of each other is genuinely fantastic.
Yeah, and this is the thing. When you leave the
Tex
clock
was crazy and Aspas भी crazy मारा.
There's like 40 seconds left. They have enough time, but it's that tiny little gap from Tex for him to be able to fly under the radar like that, and then not have the utility to clear it out. Like, you're pushing towards that A site, a boombot, a dog, something has to clear it, but it doesn't. And that narrow gap left. And that's the thing. Every time the Tex has been in that position, think of the first half. His backside plays on both sites. Right there as well. You give him a chance, he takes it and runs to the bank with it every single time. For MIBR, look, that last map, Lotus in general has been a problem for them in the last 2 series that they've played, but bouncing back like this, if this is a dominant win, I think third map favor swaps massively in my mind. But I have adored how all gamers have played the attack so far. I really don't think it's over just yet. Even look at that pistol round. They did manage to sell the fake, but MIBR were too quick on the retake. And I guess that's the other question, is have MIBR adapted to that slow style? Because they certainly had the read.
I also think as well, the thing I like there from Aspas is the patience. He knows his teammate has a play, he lets him make the play, and then goes for his own. Like, it's good synergy. Well, now a chance to farm up orbs towards the ultimate.
भाग गया सीधा वापस.
Kira shying away. Does seem like Kira's more of a ruse in this scenario, though. 3 players already taking deep control. Zekken, well aware of the position that has been lost. And the closer they get, the more deadly their weapons become.
Oh, nice work from Bai. That's Tex down already. The wall falling. Doesn't go down in time for Zekken to catch them on that cross. But he has called for the rotation. He's heard it. Verno now knows to give up that heaven space. The smoke in to make it uncomfortable, but the dog clears everything behind it. Flashback out could come through, though. Look at this sneaky little position from Mazzino!
Wow.
Triple again! MIBR, strike from the shadows!
Ace क्या?
All gamers can't quite adjust. The ace might be stolen, but it's all smiles from Mazzino. As MIBR looked to take this in dominant fashion. That was such a nice setup. He got in that
Crazy one.
at the right moment, and no one was looking his way.
And maybe not a round that you expected to need a play like this, but I don't think it's going to do any harm. And that's the thing, like, you're able to come back in moments where it looked like it was about to slip away. 11-5. They're now far and away from all gamers. And from that map 1, a map that ended in overtime, a map that showed the caliber of players, but their own map choice of split is looking like more of a blunder. Now, the operator purchased up for Fangir, him being 1 away from Bladestorm as well. Gives them opportunities, but his counterpart in Aspas has also bought up that operator and is also 1 away from the Bladestorm, so swings and roundabouts.
Minute 5 on the clock, and the AWP now rings out, but the shot doesn't land. All gamers at least know where that is now, but what to do with that is the question. 55, and they're spread in the default. Mid, off limits with the Viper's Pit. A with the AWP. Guess B seems like the easier choice, and it was moments ago. But that's changed now as the Seekers confirm players towards the B side. Aspas on his way. The operator will be here by the time the push comes in. And mid is still very much defended, for the time being at least. Tex waiting with 2 players on the other side. They're invading the smoke. They're looking for this fight, and they found him. That's a huge pick from Bai, but Aspas being in position, deadly as ever. The blade's drawn, but he's put to bed. Trades for now, keep it. workable for all gamers. They'll even get the plant, and that all being dropped, it might be the mistake that cost them the round.
Leaves it on to GRQ. It's safe to say he's had his moments throughout this tournament so far, but this one might be enough to cling to life. He spots out the first. That's the easiest one done, but the wraparound already coming through closer than maybe expected, and the blast back is good enough to just completely discombobulate GRQ's aim. That's 12 now for MIBR, 1 away and 7 in a row needed from all gamers. But you know what, Mitch, if they take a pause here, I might just believe in the comeback.
I know that, Tom. You've been a day one believer of the new 12-5 meta.
Well, after they did it.
Day one, I remember. First time they did it, you said, oh, this is a good idea. This is exactly when I want to see that one.
Yeah.
Let's go, babe.
No, sure.
But no, there's not going to be a timeout here. No moment to breathe.
Hello?
Instead, perhaps Ascent is on the horizon for MIBR. What a resurgence. A dominant map here, the choice of all gamers, but I doubt they choose it again. Bangir. Blade Storm is good for one. A clean opener. They should get the plant off that.
Where, with no ultimates online, a post plant and a Blade Storm makes it quite difficult to break back in. I am looking at Tex as maybe the one player that has a gap. It's how long that gap stays open for. How long does GRQ face the wrong way? Well, the entire time. And Kira actually hasn't reacted either, just moves into the corner instead. Not wanting to rush to take that fight.
Idhar kam tha.
Saved his teammate.
Hello?
That couldn't have been better timing. Bangir though.
Hello?
Seemingly had enough of the blade.
Well,
Either way, whatever it is, it's working. Verno left to try and fight.
अबे ये लोग क्या खेल रही है बे गेम?
Shrimp to close the first of what needs to be a 7-round streak.
Hello?
Has been found, but even still, it felt a little bit shaky.
Black screen है.
हाँ डिस्कॉर्ड खोला ना भाई.
Triple kill, double kill with the blades, and then just, I don't need these anymore.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Right clicks them into the ground.
ऐ सब लोग डबल टैप करो guys.
Look at this. Yeah.
I'm watching तो बढ़िया आ रही
I
थी.
guess he expected the re-swing.
Short live है ना?
So he's pre-firing it with the right
I
click.
like
Lights भी अच्छी खासी है.
Yeah, maybe back like in
112 की watching चल रही है.
112?
Might not even land still.
Yes,
It's
yes.
so funny. Well, 6 rounds in a row. It's a big.
अरे मेरे को 86 दिखा रही है. हाँ वो 111.
Like Aspis
112.
moments when they're needed.
Guys on the double tap chain people सब लोग double tap करो
Even
चाचा.
when they're not needed the most, they've delivered. And Ascent may have to be.
ML तो crazy
where
के
that
दी.
bounce back happens, but let's see.
Might be
Momentum
out.
can only carry you so far. A start from Mazino as they look to shut this one down, and it seems like mission complete.
हो गया.
Shrimp,
जीत गए
last
round.
man alive, and well, he'll make it deeper into the spawn at least. But what do we do from here? Surrounded in every sense of the word, no lane open to him.
अभी shift करना है Valorant से Apex को.
This, I believe, in the 6 rounds in a row. I believe in the comeback.
He's cornered.
इसको shift करना है.
And they are not letting
आज तो दो है.
More importantly, even the lower HP Aspas is now being healed up.
दो दिखानी पड़ती है.
Saving that heal for a rainy day. He is going to bypass his way towards the side, but instead he has to face Mazino, who hasn't really missed a beat in this round. Finally, he shows his mortality.
क्या हुआ?
More lives to be had. Eventually will fall. It is
BGM है?
confirm a 13-6 victory from a tight OT loss on their own map choice.
BGM समझा मैं फिर से बोलो.
नंदी था BGMI खेल रही है.
हाँ yes yes. Apex तुमने खेला कभी?
Sure they were able to escape, but now where do you even go? They're going to have to think quickly here. I can't like the decision from Zeta as well. I mentioned how it would have been very easy to try and push that fight, to be aggressive, haven't got that knock, but risky to drop down, but also risky to give up that bridge position for a late Valkyrie in towards where this zone is going to be doing. Max height, max distance, you really can see the lay of the land. So I like that decision, smart, kind of conservative, but certainly works for them.
Love this rotation from Team Heretics as well. They've been able to skirt all the way through on the southwest. They may surprise Trinity if they don't get spotted, and if they can actually take that fight.
मेरे को ना इनका हीलिंग और वो शील्ड डालते ना वो अच्छा लगता है, वो सारे गेम में होता तो अच्छा रहता, और हवा में कब चाहिए वो तब वो उड़ सकते हैं.
Minimap arrows are pointing. Zeddy, who were involved in that end game, in game number 3 on E District, well, gonna get a little bin reset here. And they're gonna not just get a bin reset, wow, they're gonna get a mythic bin popping up next to them, so that's gonna be plenty of goodies for them
क्या कर रहे हैं लोग?
as they will have Valkyrie in the composition as well as many of these teams take to the skies a little bit later and try to get in. There is the big gun. The Kraber, unlimited ammo, and Jelly says, I will take that.
It's a big responsibility, but if anyone can do it.
Guys, देख रहे हो तो मत देखो भाई, जो सैड भी करते रहो.
Now Genji, actually, are they going to try and go for a little wrap round as well? Try and get behind Team
Valorant निकाल दिया, काम और ही जा रही है.
Trinity, these were the teams we were talking about on that southern side. Unlimit might actually force the rotation here from Genji as well. Are they going to be quick enough to move, or will we see Genji be going down early again here in these games? Of course, we do manage to get up into the sky and away, but it's going to be out of the frying pan. Fire here by the looks of things.
Yeah, you wonder if they took any damage as they did take to the skies from.
तुम्हारा एप्लीकेशन क्या हुआ?
पता नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं हुआ.
कुछ आया? हाँ, दोबारा भर के देखो एक बार, क्योंकि औरों को भी आ गया था. पता नहीं.
Taking a lot of damage, and it's a combination of Wolves and Shopify Rebellion that are picking up some of those knocks.
This is what happens when you hesitate as well, as Flat will be eliminated in 20th position. Genji now get ahead of Trinity and Heretics essentially in this race, and again, Valkyrie just being so important to that factor. I love that they didn't panic bubble though. They waited, they made sure just in case they still kept.
Guys, वो 3 lakhs needed.
Stuff from Genji to get in.
60 lakhs हो जाएगा, 60 lakhs करो.
The 3 of them, they're running on fumes and passion here on day number 1, but it's going to be enough, hopefully, to see them get some points.
More 2 lakhs should go.
Does have points on the board after a fantastic first 3 games.
Like करो भाई.
On your screen, GG. 41 points from 3 games for them as they approach now.
Like देंगे सुसुना.
No Newcastle for them. They've got the Watson instead in the composition. They do have the Gibraltar bubble.
देखो रेवन लाइक नहीं करता, बस जाके देखता है. ऐसे मात्र.
मैंने लाइक किया हुआ है.
Nice, 60 हो गए. Guys, 70 lakhs कर दो. डबल टैप करो स्क्रीन पे. अरे क्या हो रहा भाई? स्क्रीन देखो मेरा. कुछ भी कर ही जा रहे हैं लोग एपेक्स में. अरे नॉकआउट हो गया.
क्या हुआ? अच्छा लाइक.
और एक नॉक हो गया. खत्म है. UNL मर गई.
Sooner rather than later, Team Heretics have now got amongst things, but they are very much struggling to stay up as Trinity do get eliminated as well.
इनका देख रहे हो, नॉक होने के बाद भी इन लोग के पास शील्ड रहता है. और कैसे शील्ड बना रहे हैं लोग? शील्ड पे शील्ड, शील्ड पे शील्ड. मर गए दोनों नॉक है. मर गया. सच पे गाइस, more 9 lakhs कर दो गाइस. 70 lakhs, let's go. इतने बंदे देख रहे, थोड़ा डबल टैप करते तो क्या होता भाई. और 4 सब्सक्राइबर चाहिए, सब्सक्राइब करो.
Doesn't feel safe right now. He's got a lot of teams around him, but one of those teams who's now sharing the building is going to be PXX right next to them. Zeddy will be safe behind their Newcastle wall. That's going to eat up some of those missiles. Kanasame Havoc have just gone down.
क्या लगाते बे लोग.
To build a bit of momentum here down. They are picking up.
शील्ड बोलते हैं, उसके बाद एक जनरेटर जैसा है.
Now they've got to continue to do so as they have a long way to go towards this zone.
I do wonder with a team like AG, who historically sometimes have that, last-minute ditch effort to get into finals lobbies. And I tell you what,
क्या नॉक दे दिया मैं
Yanya gets back up on his feet, so you don't feel
चलते
as
चलते नॉक पड़ गया
Yeah, that Kraber hurts. Yanya's going to tell him that. And now we're seeing the zip line come out from Neazul. They do get the reset by the looks of things. And they should be able to take that zip line and reset here as Jaguares will be last man to arrive, having had to pop that battery. Defensive bombardment goes down, but now the zone is going to be at their back.
अपेक्स खेले क्या रहे एक बार
And their health is going to be chipped away. Relove DCG, they will be down next. 14 squads remain as
वो एक बार ट्राई करता बोल रहा अच्छा लगा तो अरे मर गए बेचारे आते आते ही मर गए
That's what happens down in the south here at Dev Coast. Now you can see another team full as well. Suddenly the kill feed
क्या होल्ड कर रहे हैं वे लोग
further into the southeast. Gaming Gladiators have been able to find a fantastic spot on the southern side.
The XX next team out. 12 squads now remain in Shopify Rebellion. Are trying to pressure Dory inside of this building. You can see how far they have to go. They've got around a minute or so until that zone forces them to move. But before they do so, they want to try and move. In the kill feed, by the way, No Name with that Kraber has picked up another scalp. It's going to be Yuka who's going to be going down.
A lot of engagements being forced here, and actually there's third parties that are going to be happening. Now Gen G will start to move in, but they're approaching 4 different teams. You can't just force this engagement. You've got to be aware of all the
Crazy, man.
Gen G do slightly back off here.
Yeah, VP are just trying to hold. They're the team that are kind of gatekeeping everything on this eastern side. There's VP, Zeddy, Gen G all sharing these buildings that you can see on the map overhead here. But it's Gen G who are going to have to force their way in. They've already lost one, and it's not looking good for Gen G here. They're trying to stick the res, but there's a mother load. And Dexter and Asia, they might not be long for this lobby.
They're starting to smell blood though now. And you start to see those knocks in the kill feed, you know it's now or never. And you're not in zone at the moment. VP's building is the only one that actually will be even slightly...
अरे मेरा मेन स्ट्रीम तुमको बफर दिख रही है क्या रेवन
So they have the slight advantage here. They can play a little bit slower and force Gen G and Zeddy to do something.
मेन स्ट्रीम देखो एक बार वो बफर दिख रही है क्या तुमको हाँ वो कहीं क्यों हो रही है हाँ वही ना हाँ पर बीच बीच से बफर हो रही है ना क्यों हो रही हो
Still alive in such a short amount of time as well. There's going to be left before this next zone goes in. 55 seconds. GG do get Valorant डाला था ना तुमने बस. Just won by JDG. Another top 10 for
क्या क्या
It's going to be more points for them as
EWC वाले में गेम्स में Valorant ही डाला था.
नहीं मेरे को Valorant का एक्सेस है Apex का एक्सेस है Call of Duty का एक्सेस है और PUBG मोबाइल का भी एक्सेस है और Free Fire का भी है नहीं नहीं मतलब वो तुम्हारा लक है आया तो आया वैसा का तुम लैंग्वेज ना पंजाबी डालो हिंदी का बहुत बंदे होता तो हिंदी का नहीं मिलता वैसा रहता है हाँ डालो डालो इंस्टाग्राम
करंट व्यूअरशिप में क्या डाला
तुम्हारा लाइव का मतलब वॉचिंग कितना आता है लाइव लगाया तो उतना डालो
तुमने कितना डाला था
15 ऐसा डाला था मैंने
तो डाला भी कितना 20-25 डाला था मैंने
ये तो बड़ा था उसको 2000-3000 ऐसा डालो एक बार 2000 डाल के देखो
2000-3000 तो आते भी नहीं
अरे व्यूज सोचा बोल के ऐसे डाल दे
200-300 डाल देता हूँ
हाँ
क्या 200-300 डालें या सिर्फ एक ही वैल्यू जाएगी ना इसमें?
200 ही डालो, एक ही लगा लो, 3000 डाल दो, 1000 बोल। Nice and
Do
GG.
you have a streaming platform for which you are applying?
They deserved that one because there was aggressive position they took away from 4Fun. And they just timed it perfectly. They were able to read the lobby, see the kill feed going on. They knew they had the advantage going into that final engagement.
Really impressive stuff from them, and it was a combination of 4Fun and Zeddy who were playing kind of different levels of that zone. It was Zeddy who were underneath that high ground building for quite some time in the end game. For Fun, they did a great job by getting into that position early with the early rotation that came in from
इसका स्ट्रीम का टाइटल चेंज कर रहा होगा।
the Americas, who have another winner here in our game number 4 on Stormpoint.
And it does just take so much pressure off, doesn't it? In day one, if you can get that win on the board as well, you know you are playing at your very best as well. Frustrating for some of the teams. There's those hand-in-head moments, hand-on-head moments. What could have been had we moved around, had we not dropped the player in that situation?
And I hit a massive shot.
Had we not taken that much damage, had I hit a Kraber shot? These fine margins between teams as we look back at some of the highlights. I love the position from TIE throughout the majority of the game, by the way. I think they were unfortunate they lost that one player during the skirmish with VP, but this was one from Zeddy. Look at the positioning Jelly took, taking that high ground on that rock, and it really gave them the advantage.
Yeah, the golden nature as well in the end game with a double tap on really just is a problem. To say
पहले कोई मेल नहीं आई है।
short range battles. Cinetic up in the sky, a little bit of clay pigeon shooting for them as Duplex moved in and popped off in the final moments here. And once again, Zeddy proving they are here to play at the Split 1 playoffs at EWC.
इससे चिल्ला रहे बे।
I think going through these first couple of days, it is going to be a question of, you know, who is going to be up to the task? Who is going to show that they can actually roll with the big dogs? And any wins on the board will raise eyebrows in a good way. Both of them, not just a single one.
Wow. Got me shocked, Daniel Gaskin. Kind of thing on day one is, I'm ready for the dates to continue. If you get a double eyebrow raise, love that from you.
And I think that all the players would have been looking at that final circle saying, actually, had we transitioned a little bit differently on the southwest side in particular, there was vulnerable teams on that side. And a lot of people just committed to Valkyrie because you're scared. You don't really know what's ahead of you. Yeah.
So you're going to use it, right? I think it's an interesting zone for that.
You kick yourself afterwards, but it's always a hindsight situation.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I think it's one of the zones where composition certainly played.
8 teams है पूरा का पूरा
a
Apex
very
में।
similar plan on how they were going to approach it. And you're quite right. The one team I think who had a slightly different way of approaching it was TIE down that southwest side, who kind of wrapped the rest of the lobby and let all of those Valcots happen in front of them, and were able to swoop in as and when they needed to. But it's actually the Valkyrie, surprise, surprise, who made the difference in the end game as well, being able to jet up to that top of that rock, the armor swap that came in, making sure that they were all healthy as well, which is very important going into that final fight. But yeah, very, very.
अच्छा गेम का मैकेनिज्म कुछ पता है तुम्हें?
By the way, JDG into the top 5 as well. Very good game for them, who are secretly
Apex तो खेली नहीं मैंने कभी
about their business as well, picking up a couple of points in these first
All में खेला था ना?
games. But as we move to game 5, you start to see games remaining, don't you, in a set?
हाँ कॉल में खेलता है।
And with only 2 remaining, that's only a certain finite amount of points for these teams.
बस ट्राई करना है फिर।
Before they think about playing again tomorrow.
The win for Zeddy puts them up into second place just behind Team Falcons as well, but it's getting pretty tight between those top 3. Falcons, Zeddy and Gaming Gladiators are clear leaders, but who's actually going to be able to take that initiative going into 5 and 6? Speaking of 5, we will not have Valkyrie, so for everything we were just talking about, you know, the height advantage you're able to gain, being able to force your way into the final circle, changes everything now without being able to go up into the sky with that skyward dive, and it does change composition significantly.
उनको तो लड़की कुछ है बे।
Still hasn't been banned, so could come back into the fray if you would like to. I know she's more prevalent on Easy Strict, but if those are more comfortable on that legend, then there is always that choice as well. sometimes, or back in the day, Alta would have just been gone so early on, but now lasts a little bit longer into these series.
You know, by the way, that Waltzy walked into the hairdressers with a picture of me and just said, "I want that."
Did it work?
It's true, by the way. There's absolutely no way that I'm
Did it
not
work?
telling the truth.
Do you think he looks like you?
I think
हमारे ना डिस्कॉर्ड पे कोई अजीब सी आवाजें आ रही है
क्या आवाज आ रही है?
he's doing his best impression though.
It's funny because Koiful went in and said,
जैसे उनकी उधर कमेंट्री चल रही है ना उसकी आवाज यहाँ पे अजीब सी आ रही है तुम्हारी माइक से ही आ रही है
हैं? वैसे कैसे आता?
but I'm excited for match 5 here because I think it's going to tell us a lot about the
डिस्कॉर्ड से आ रही है पर मतलब उधर स्ट्रीम पे नहीं आ रही है इधर ही है
starting to fall a little bit further behind.
अभी भी आ रही है?
A significant victory from some of these squads.
नहीं अभी नहीं आ रही
The closest being Wolves, but of course
अभी डिस्कॉर्ड खोला हो बस
victory indeed as we look at some of the top damage dealers throughout the lobby so far. Wolves have been outputting a lot of demand.
It has to be best for them, but when you recognize that they are usually playing hard zone, not surprising. You know, you're holding down a spot more than you are looking to clean wipe teams and eliminate them. It's kind of picking teams off, so the elimination's not quite lining up, but that is the reason that kind of backs up that. Something else to talk about here, I think, is, of course, you know, after the group stage is done, we are going to be sending some teams home. So the teams that are at the bottom after 4, 5, 6 games, even though it's only one group that's been done so far, we have to keep in mind, you know, when we look at those total points overall, the group stage will be the end of the tournament for some of these teams. So even though it's only 4 games gone in the tournament so far, if you're down at the bottom right now, you're probably starting to think we need to pick the pace up here with just 2 games remaining in this set. Otherwise, we could be thinking about spending a bit more time in Paris outside of EWC than we really wanted to.
And whilst there are a lot of teams that will get through to the survival stage, and you think, oh, you know, if it's only a few teams from the groups, it's not too bad. But suddenly, as you say, if you are down right at the bottom, it starts to get a little bit more nervy. And a win here, some points here in these groups would be absolutely massive for your chances. And again, just to ease the nerves, similarly to what I was saying previously about Zeddy as well. Now it will just allow them to relax and focus on this one. And now they're up into the top 3 with that victory. That shows how close it was previously.
Of course, that's what they're playing for there, that beautiful trophy that is on the stage. Of course, the key into that trophy to crown themselves the way ahead of myself.
अब सही है कह रहे हो नवल?
We will have a champion at the end.
हाँ अभी तो सी आ रही
A long way to go, of course, defending champions, VK Gaming. They're going to be here as well, defending their crown a little bit later on. Not in this lobby, but they will be playing a little bit later today. As we just wander our way through the crowd to look at some of the awesome people. By the way, the people who get here on day 1 early, best fans in the world. Shout out to you.
Always appreciate the dedication, the passion.
The last day pretenders. Yeah, turn up for the big games.
How dare they work on the weekdays and be available on the
They
weekends?
should have been booked off months in advance. Anyway, looks like we're almost ready to get into our next game here. Thank you for bearing with us, everybody. Match 4 is done, and it's time for match 5 as we continue here on Stormpoint.
And with Valkyrie now gone and banned, composition is going to look very different. And I do think we're going to see the biggest legend selection and disparity that we've had so far in this series. I can already see across my screen we've got Sparrow that's come in now. We've got some Wraiths that are starting to join the fray. Pathfinder, as Onset had mentioned as well. Plenty of different decisions have been made, but the majority seem to have teetered towards Wraith as their primary rotation legend.
Yeah, it looks like Gibraltar very, very popular as well as kind of the anchor legend for a lot of these teams. As Zeddy Esports on your screen, the winners of game number 4. Well, they're going to be making their way towards this zone from Northpad. Speaking of which, an interesting one for everybody to watch here. It's looking like it's going to be down south of Sito, maybe out towards some of those watery areas, but it's looking like potentially a Sito zone here, maybe up on that high ground between Jurassic and Sito.
Well, good news for Wolves, who you were mentioning previously. We were talking about the damage output they've had so far, but not necessarily the conversion from it. I'm not sure they have a ring console, though, so they may not be aware of it, but they're certainly going to see everyone joining.
मेरे को इसमें ना JD Gaming एक ही पता है
Have all moved. JD Gaming have
और
also
Team
got a ring
Falcons.
console down towards Barometer as well. Speaking of damage difference, JD Gaming have been one of those teams throughout Pro League that have had an incredible damage difference.
They certainly have indeed, and look at the teams that might have an option to hit a quick rotate here. You got PXX as well over at Cascade Falls, who are in a good position to find their way in towards zone. We'll have to see what other teams are going to be able to make their way in, though.
That we will indeed. And, you know, Shopify Rebellion, I don't even think they will break this circle. They're going to get that down towards Tenote. and move pretty quickly indeed.
One shot.
Fire Rebellion didn't really get to take advantage of their position in the previous game because they were held out by some games. Now we have a quick pause at the moment, of course, while we sort things out for the players on the stage, but it of course allows us, Mark, to have a little longer look.
मेरे को ना स्टूडियो लाने के बाद देखना है भाई.
Yeah, it certainly does. 30 seconds or so on the pause, so we'll get back into the game as soon as we...
Dead. It's going to be the Hunter's Fury thrown out, almost seemingly off nothing, and that's an early double for Verno. He's been playing incredibly well so far. And one, and then out, and in fact, no, Aspas feeling confident, goes for the repeat. The bang in. GRQ have weaponry to play with, but can they make something work here?
Hello, Revan, आवाज आ रही है?
They might have been, but they fired back at the start. Now it's Kira.
Hello.
Alone, he was getting some great shots in that first. Look at second, so quick to walk through.
मर गया है.
Kira could never expect that level of aggression. And for MIBR, a sixth round locked in. There was definitely a bit of danger there, but considering the ulti's thrown by the other side, that's just fine.
Yeah, they throw in the running back even while not having a weapon into the hands of the player using it, but it was basically just take space, try and trade. That wallbang shot that came out from Aspas is just disgusting because Zekken is dead. If he doesn't hit that, he's dead, and he's the guy who ends up cleaning up the rest of the round. Tex continuing to be a safe pair of hands, and the problem is you look at that round and go, hey, it was a low buy. They use Tour de Force, they use Overdrive, they use Run It Back, they use Hunter's Fury. That is 4 ultimates committed to one round, and it doesn't net you a win.
That reveal, sending him scurrying. Look at the push up from Aspas. Aggression cancelled by all gamers for a moment. Now they start. Aspas loses his MP back. He's a player pushed out on shore to help him. The drone is going to send him flying. Dash out, but now look who's stuck in.
Hello.
Has to stand his ground, has to stand tall, and that he does. A double kill on the Phantom. They were so pigeonholed on trying to deal with Aspas, they forgot that he might have had help.
Even still, that is Mazzino over-delivering.
Yeah, 100%.
You're supposed to keep him alive. Instead, you've taken 2 bodies in response. That's got to be infuriating. As said, this is
We're just ठीक है. उनका है.
Sure, they had those blowout games initially.
उनका issue है, हमारा नहीं.
Can have a round, can have a moment. And that's exactly what they're doing now. Aspas, the man who was saved, has dropped the spike into middle. The remaining 2 players are running around like headless chickens. They're having to try and just get that spike back, and instead they are caught from every single angle. 7-1 in the lead. MIBR are running away with this.
Things have really changed since that first map, where throughout the entirety of it, all gamers were competing or even
Aspas crazy player, yes bro. एक नंबर आर्तन नडसलं. Crazy shit.
That was going every round.
It was, I think, +4 overall for the team, but you had 2 players combined, +10 in opening duels on the side of MIBR, and they lose that map. It was Aspas, it was Tech.
Shit.
Putting up numbers all
Yeah.
step of the way.
Crazy man. अरे एक नंबर आर्तन.
Still, we're not seeing
ML crazy.
Close was because Mazzino was 0-6 in opening duels. And now he's in the argument for being their best player. Like, if you talk about a turnaround, he just single-handedly
ML crazy play.
destroyed them in that last. And well, when you're 7-1 down and this is the purchase, no ultimate still. And look at the pressure that's being put on. They've eliminated Fangit. Now, what I will say is that is the delivery of a fairly hefty upgrade in terms of weaponry. They get to keep the rifle and then get given an operator. I don't think that trade was worth it.
No, normally you're going to see players drop that up first, go in with the shorty, and then refract back.
ML crazy play, man.
Is feeling it at the moment is the best explanation I can give. 7-1 up, but a little bit overzealous. Up against an eco, downright silly.
Vamshi Krishna, are Vamshi bhai namaste.
Absolutely.
Honestly, Aspas delivery. You'll get
It'll know Vamshi bro.
Problem is, they still need to push out through this, and breaking in with the operator of all weapons might not help all that much. The Odin on the choke, the spam from both players catches.
Odin is to see that
through, but so many bullets came his way. It didn't matter. GRQ having to recover another.
AG को comeback देना पड़ेगा ये round में.
Through the smoke on this
comeback किया उसने AG.
GRQ
Nice.
low again, even after his heal. He's on 23 HP. And they've barely any time left. This plant should be impossible.
Spam मारेगा ये, पक्का spam मारेगा.
It will be time running dry.
Easy man.
Chances for all gamers.
MIBR crazy play.
To 1 in the lead are MIBR.
I always find this when I watch Verno that he looks like a player.
Crazy play, man.
Like, because in that moment you could forgive him to go, oh, if that guy's fought like 3 of my teammates, I can probably just go in and kill him. But he's like, nope, I'll wait 4 seconds, and then it's like 3.7 seconds. He's like, and now I'm fighting because I know that he can't plant the spike anymore. I'll just sit in the back line and make sure this round is over, and then I'll be a little bit.
Guys, sister on the double tag again, people.
It's just smart stuff that basically makes it impossible.
Double tap karo re cha.
He's got that run it back online. They have been farming up
He's the same.
all the way through the game, but we are yet to see that same heroic play that he was pulling out.
Come back round. Come back round. Let's go, AG.
After a very competitive first map, it does feel like these last two have left something to be desired from all gamers. The last remaining hope. CN, here comes
चल अल्ट लेके जा रहा.
GRQ, it's delayed for a moment. Flash lands, nothing. Reveal is there, and it's shut
वाह,
down.
waste हो गया.
Dive through. Bye-bye.
वाह.
No with them. And bye-bye indeed. It's
ML easy win.
Gamers, we need someone to step up to fill these shoes as players drop across the board.
AG going to home, buddy.
And he survived.
घर को जा रहा है. चलो हो गया इधर भी.
For the kill, and with 9-1
Crazy man.
Is there any hope left for all
Crazy
gamers?
play.
Okay, that is the second round I've now watched where
Apex లేదా Apex ఉంది కానీ Apex గ్రాండ్ ఫైనల్స్ చూస్తే మంచి అనిపిస్తుంది.
Since the run it back. So that was when they still had their entirety of their team online. They then peak him
మంచి టీమ్స్ లో ఇప్పుడు
as well, while swinging him at the same time. He ends up with 3 kills, and then the fourth player that runs in just goes, nah, I'm killing him, and just runs.
Next G2 match in G2.
Because he's so tunnel visioned in on just getting a singular kill onto second. Just look at the score.
Crazy play.
Bottom fragger right
ML.
now on MIBR has 9 kills. There is nobody underperforming. And this is the team that was promised. This is why at the beginning of the year, you're almost laughing the fact that Zekid has managed to go and join Aspas on the same team. You're almost looking at the fact that they've held on to Verno and built this superstar-studded roster. And it's not quite delivered, but when it does work, this is what you get. It feels like they are fighting a little...
టెన్షన్ ఉన్న చేతులు రుద్దుకుంటాడు.
Just run head first into it.
టెన్షన్ ఉన్నాడు.
Same for the last map as well. Like that first half was close. It was a chance to be 6-6 if I'm not mistaken, and then we swapped sides and MIBR ran away with things. Now on this map, GRQ, look, he's top fragging at least, but I did think that like I liked the comp. I liked
Easy MIBR winning. Yes.
Especially is a huge step up, and he wasn't bad so far in this series. So you imagine that ceiling's going to raise. Fangir map 1 looked better than Aspas, which is one hell of a feat. But now it looks like he hasn't even started playing. Indeed, nobody had. They've got 1 round of the board. 9-3, the best scoreline that they can hope and pray for. And even then, the Divine will have to answer for them to have a chance. And perhaps he has. Aspas has made a mistake. He's missed a shot. A rare miss on one side, but then an immediate filling in of the blank shrimp. Tries on the wraparound, but look how confident is. He's running at them. And maybe he shouldn't be. Fangir,
Crazy man.
So far, but now a chance against
Crazy
one of the
play.
world's best.
He's got nothing left though. He's down to just a classic. He used his last headhunter bullet just to
Jat plays crazy play कर रहा है. Yes भाई. AG तो solid team थे भाई. आज अच्छा नहीं खेल रहे. पता नहीं है भाई. Crazy है भाई. Crazy play था. Solid.
Aspas, and it really does just become a game of chicken.
ये तो मरेगा लग रहा है मेरे को. मूवमेंट दे रहे तो दोनों बंदे एक ही बार मूवमेंट दे रहे. देख रहे हो? इधर मूवमेंट इससे इधर ఒకటేసారి మూవమెంట్ ఇస్తారు. నేను అదే చెప్తున్నా. తీసుకోపోరా చిన్న తమ్ముడు.
That's going to be the bigger problem. He has to now get in and get that plant. And in fact, Aspas was starting to believe that this was a move towards the other side of the map. Instead,
వాడు ఏకెందుకు పోతున్నాడు గుర్రాడు.
running back towards B.
ఏరకు పోయి చెక్ చేసుకుని వాళ్ళ ఇంటికి వస్తున్నాడు. slightly.
He's not going to take the risk of even placing, and he doesn't know how close Aspis is. Of course, Aspis went to A thinking the spike had maybe been taken. He hadn't seen it for so long. As time ticks away, the info not yet given away. Aspis, he'll break the trap. He'll step forward as Fangir swings in, and
Oh,
Aspis lands the
ending.
shot, digging a hole
Easy
deeper
man,
for all
easy.
gamers, burying them
ఇంకో రౌండ్
round
వచ్చి పడేసింది.
after round. This attack
Crazy
side,
round.
they may end the half with one.
It's looking more and more likely as they go by. An incredibly nice
AG going home. Back-to-back wins.
Particularly close, especially after Zekid put him so
This was
desperately
crazy,
low
bro.
and just seemed to have it dead to rights. This
Crazy
correction,
play.
a singular bullet left. Seemed like it might have been enough, but in the end, the final boss. Look at the scoreboard: 11, 11, 11, 11, 10. Like there really has just not been a missing piece to the MIBR puzzle. And wow, Zekid's getting more and more confident. In fact, this is a just sheer rundown.
Oh.
Bai is having to just try and hold on for life, and even an escape route doesn't exist. They are being surrounded, choked out, and they think maybe, okay.
There, Baba, there.
Is this the open site? Is this the one that nobody's holding? No, it isn't. There's still one, now two, now three and a fourth. Wrapping
Last
around
one.
them. Well, it was Verno to
Easy
close,
win.
11-1. The team that faced off against GE is
Easy
showing up
win.
once again.
Yeah, listen, I don't think there's many teams out there that would look at a
Comeback ఉందని అయితే నేను అనుకోవట్లేదు.
and a qualification
I
match at the
think
same
hard
time.
comeback.
I'd like to face MIBR in that one, but you definitely don't want to face MIBR in this form.
Ileven aaya
How
kadam.
strong of a player someone like Aspis can be. We've seen Tex from the very get-go be activated, but now Mazzino, Verno, they're there alongside him. Zekin looks like he's unkillable. The amount of times I've seen him take what for anyone else would be a death blow and keep
Crazy play by MLY.
even at times having Aspis as his savior with the off wall bang.
I'll be honest. If he hadn't died a couple of rounds ago to the Headhunter, and you'd said to me, oh, he was in God mode by accident, I'd go, oh, you know what, actually that makes sense, because there were rounds where, yeah, he gets wallbang like that while being spammed out by an overdrive. The round after where he gets 3 kills while stuck in the same corner for a whole round, and then a player runs at him just to kill him, and Aspis goes, did you forget about me? Like, come on, guys. Like, please don't forget the guy who has a champion's gun buddy.
Oh.
But even still, even with every once in a while, a
Yes, yes. Yes, sir.
down, this was probably one of the best opportunities they had, and even still it didn't go there.
Yes, bolo, bolo.
A complete decimation. 11-1. It was a good defense.
MIBR easy win है 11-1 चल रहा है पता.
But at this point, every single round is like hanging off a cliff edge.
11-1 भाई. 11-1.
More or less any round after that will end the game as well, even if you take it. All gamers have to be perfect.
Crazy.
Maybe at 12-1 we can see a pause. I do think though, like
पहले राउंड से पहले वाला मैच रहता ना इनका 3 मैचेस में. पहले वाले मैच में तो बहुत मतलब नॉर्मल खेले थे MIBR तो अभी पूरा कमबैक दे दे मैच के बैच. अभी 2 राउंड चाहिए बस जीतने के लिए.
what was happening. Once they had that time between maps to discuss, okay, how should we react to those kind of plays? How should we react to them pushing and pulling like that?
Easy win MIBR. Yes भाई जान भाई.
And all gamers haven't had that extra gear to shift into. Now
they need the fan gear.
They need the fan gear. If they're gonna have any chance, and there he is to set it off.
Fan gear activated.
क्या मारा बे?
If you're still going for a car analogy, but who cares about that at this point? Anything that will work has to come through for all gamers. An opening pick is about the best scenario they've had, but Zekid just looks like he's hit a completely different gear, a different level. In fact, an even scenario, a nice work from GRQ, a player revealed, but they are losing as they go. Just the 2 players underneath. The flash is perfect, and a second round will come through. The lifeline has been garnered, and more importantly, GRQ getting most of those kills gets him closer to that ult.
Yeah, perhaps a consolation prize, but you never want to count yourself out. Remember, this isn't a
कमबैक दे दिया भाई एजी वाले ने एक राउंड
rely on a lower
अच्छा
bracket.
लगा, अच्छा निकाला.
There's no extra layer. There is no safety net to fall into.
एलन गेमिंग हाई ब्रो.
Way down and
एलन
a
भाई
long way back home for all gamers. This pistol guarantees them at least a bit of runway. And I was waiting to see if, as confident as they feel, they go in for the crazy force.
गाइस मेंबरशिप लो, गाइस मेंबरशिप लो.
To get this over as quickly as possible in a more conventional.
ओनली वन राउंड ब्रो. यस यस भाई मैं भी वही बोल रहा था, एक ही राउंड था, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है.
Pick up a couple more orbs, but
అయిపోతుంది ఆరామ్ से అయిపోతుంది. ओ
coming out of this, the buy in the next for
ओमन मरेगा, मर गया. 2 पिक्स ले लिया ओमन ने.
keeping this clean as well.
हो गया.
All 5 alive for
क्या इजी का कमबैक आ रही है? 2 राउंड लेनी है इनको बस. आ रहा है क्या रेवन? कमबैक आ रही है? 2 राउंड तो केज ही निकाले. अच्छा खेला था भाई, अच्छा खेला वो. हाँ 3 है अभी, उनको एमएल वाला को 2 ही चाहिए.
Another round onto the board and his opponents with an operator on the attack.
Buy has been bypassed.
दोनों को नहीं क्या? नहीं लिया. ओह
Catch him off, but the trades keep on coming in favor of all gamers until they don't. Verno dropping.
क्लियर ऑन एमएल जीत रही है.
The spike makes it to the site.
लग गया मेरे को, एमएल जीत रही है.
Versus 2 in the post plant. And there's not much.
एमएल का राउंड मिल गया लगता है.
The operator would love a pick, but I think they've spotted it now. They've seen that big gun. Paranoia for Kira can perhaps, in fact, it could catch them all if it's at the right angle, but waiting to get into position before it's fired through. It'll find one towards the backside. Clean pickup on Aspis, but Tex was not blinded by it at this point for Fangir. 11-3. You need
नहीं होगा.
but the time should be too far
एमएल विन.
and by now
देखते भाई
it
देख.
certainly is with 2 left to get. It's all about orbs. It's all about punishing.
अरे नहीं होगा, नहीं होगा. नाइस वन, नाइस राउंड, नाइस राउंड. एक राउंड चाहिए बस जीतने के लिए, हो जाएगा.
The beginning of the end is here.
Yeah, maybe he thought there was no way out, but I think at that stage saving the operator holds so much more value than a singular kill. Like that round was already over, and definitely mistakes starting to creep in a little bit more. I think Shrimp walking back into the site after they've already completely lost it. It just seems panicky. And you can understand why. Their tournament life is on the line. The last representative of BCT China.
एजी तो क्रेजी टीम है भाई, मेरे को पता नहीं है. इनका डाउनफॉल चल रहा है. अच्छा
Might be getting one more team at least in towards
मोमेंट हो गया ये तो.
the playoff stage. They all have a man up for now. Not a bad start.
And to the good. Zekin down as well. The immortal man.
He bleeds.
Finally.
वरना ये लोग फाड़ देते. अच्छा पर एमएल भी अच्छी खेल रहा है. एमएल तो अंडरडॉग टीम बोले थे.
Fired through, caught one, but not the second player. Luckily, Aspis is quick to get out of there. He heard a shot.
एस्पस है ना क्रेजी खेल रहा है. एस्पस और टेक्स है ना, टेक्स, ये दोनों क्रेजी खेल रहे हैं.
With the flank up by Fangir, all gamers have MIBR boxed in with a man advantage to play with as well. This is looking set for 12-4.
Yeah, they've got to run it back if they need it. GRQ sat at the back of the site, and that's exactly what he's going for now. Just try and make things even more awkward for them, even just a singular pick. But no, he's denied by Tex. The problem is, should now know that there's a decent amount of players at the back of this site. Aspas desperately low already.
Oh.
And Bite will hold his ground.
3v5 है.
The move towards the other side of the map doesn't even seem like an option anymore.
Oh, अच्छा अच्छा मारा बे.
To try and make this move, and although eventually we'll see a player lost, it's not going to matter
क्या कर रहे हैं लोग?
much. Although
ओ ये तो क्रेजी था है ना ओमन का जा रहा था उसने मार दिया
to take him out before he slipped into the shadows. Another opportunity
अच्छा मारा है अच्छा मारा
for the streak of rounds for a legendary comeback against some of the best that the world has to offer for all gamers. They proved themselves on map number 1. This task is
चेंबर तो चौक कर दिया था उधर
team to make 8 rounds against MIBR in a row from this point forward. Tour de force online for Fangir. I don't think he's going to be sent.
इनको एक ही राउंड चाहिए इजी विन है मेरे को लग रहा एमएल का तो
Yeah, I think with the fact that
अच्छा मारा
ये किसका आवाज है
Lose a player or two and
अच्छा मारे का आवाज है
नहीं बुरे वारने अग्गू अग्गू का है
interestingly going for that hero gun in this round.
He's heard them right. He's heard them right. He's heard them right. Oh my God! What is happening? They were stepping for the last 5 seconds. The man's deaf. He's unplugged his headphones. It's a 5v3. And Aspis. The dawn of this series looked so bright for all gamers.
ML win.
MIBR to the limits, but as dawn turns to day, a dark night on the horizon.
Crazy win.
DCN, they are going home, and MIBR push through to playoffs.
It seemed like it was going to be
निकल गए
a
playoff
for MIBR with that first map. They had themselves
निकल
in
गए
a pretty decent position, and then we
ये ऑफ
saw
सेल
the
पेरा
back from their opponents. But on map 2,
मेरा वन बेटा को
this is the MIBR we hoped to see here at EWC.
अरे
A brilliant performance, adaptations in map 2 and map 3. Honestly, it could have been an email.
ये
So quick with how they were able to get through their opponents.
Number 2 on split, we saw those issues fixed.
बफर అవుతుందనుకో అయిపోయిందా స్ట్రీమ్ బంద్ చేస్తావా
లేదు లేదు వాళ్ళ సైడ్ కి ఎలా అవుతుంది నాదిగా బఫర్
This last map, it shines a light to just how strong MIBR can be. A big team now locked in for playoffs. And that's all the time we've got in the game. It's time to throw this one back to the desk.
ఏం చేస్తున్నావు మరి
Deacon.
क्या है रेवन बात नहीं कर रहा कोई
Crushing the hopes of a VCT China representative in the playoffs. It also means
दो बात करो मैं आता
100% win rate so far, qualification rate so far here for VCT Americas. They are 3 for 3 and will go 4 for 4, attempt to in our next series. But it's time to celebrate MIBR Los hitting the right notes and finally achieving that potential we've been waiting for them to see.
It's good to see that it is in ascent, right, as well. To see that phase, to see the bounce back from what we saw against Team Heretics. All of the players, I believe, showed up. Bruno, I think that throughout the series, redemption arc complete.
Yeah, I mean, I think I love that they went back to Ascent. I think it shows good prep work and fantastic coaching from this
You can
squad.
play Ascent.
But I think when you get destroyed on a map like that, I love that they go back to it because it means that they felt prepared and it felt like also
मेरे को ना पहले मैच देख के लगा था फर्स्ट मैच చూసి అనిపించింది ఏజీ వినయ్ రేమో అనుకున్నా కానీ మళ్ళీ నెంబర్ కంబ్యాక్ ఇచ్చింది
all gamers tried to make was so
अरे इनका कई को बफर होता है
shut down because they had all the information. This was prepped well ahead of time and great IGLing there. I think I really want to give flowers to Verno because that map 1 looked very poor.
నవ్వు రాకపోయినా నవ్వుతున్నామే
Is he going to be able to pick himself back up into the game? He did a fantastic job individually in this map 3, but calling structure rock solid here for MIBR.
There were also a lot of unforced mistakes.
Legend spot backside.
In the last round, it seemed a little bit tragic. Love to see the voice. They'll love to hear the voice that Mitch was given to that situation.
Guys, double tap behind people.
That was going through all of our heads. Like, oh, come on, no, not this way. You can battle through after the series that you've given us today. After
crazy
the tournament, this is the way we're gonna say goodbye to you. Bit sad.
Yeah, I want to go back to the Verno point just because it was a difficult start for him. The 1-9 on that first map,
GG's, yes, GG.
Top of the lobby here.
एक नंबर के लिए
matters while still calling the game for the rest of the squad.
I think that also something that we didn't get to mention in the first one is that in head-to-head duels against Fangir, he was like 8-0 to Fangir. I said like Verno was like, I can't kill this man. He's coming at me. I shoot. My weapon don't work.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen for the rest of the series.
I mean, it's great resilience. That's why these are top-level players. That's why these are players that, when this roster was built, we keep saying it, was expected to lift trophies. Great names across.
नेक्स्ट मैच का विन बोलो कौन सी टीम होगा?
Behind them, I think they truly showed their potential.
बोलो भाई आपका गेस, अरे गेस बता दो भाई, गेस तो हर कोई करता है.
Now about MIBR Los's last series with Tech standing by right now with Janiro.
All right, Tex, that's another win. Assuming a weight off your shoulder now that you've qualified for the playoffs.
Feels so good. I can't even lie. Feels so.
विनय अच्छा लगता है, सबको अच्छा लगता है.
You guys also had us in that.
G2 winning है, अच्छा.
About Lotus, first things first. What went right and then wrong and then right again and then wrong again?
Yeah, I don't know. These Lotus games are getting a little too close.
Lotus तो close था.
Don't have it. We're making some weird mistakes. We even figured it out right after the game what we were doing wrong. So it should be better for the future.
Lotus में तो बहुत
close. A lot of momentum. They honestly played really well as well. So yeah, props to them.
Very close.
Able to figure out what went wrong on Lotus allowed you to adapt for the second and that third map because the last one, respect.
Yeah, so they have a pretty similar playstyle in all of their maps. So honestly, figuring out what we're doing wrong and how they're gonna play in the future is really important.
And then now that you're heading into playoffs, of course, you've had a couple of learning lessons, I assume, so far from the group stage. What's been the biggest takeaway that you think will make the biggest impact once you are in front of a crowd?
I don't think the crowd will bother us too much.
Yes, Lotus match was close.
We're our biggest enemy, honestly.
AG वाला अच्छे खेले Lotus.
It looks good.
हाँ भाई ये भी बोल सकते हैं, वो लोग तो बहुत अच्छे खेले थे. सही था, ये बात भी सही है.
What do you think allows players to really just lock in when they are on the stage competing?
Honestly, my teammates make it really easy for me. They have a lot of confidence in me, and I honestly am fueled off of confidence. So my teammates hype me up. They tell me nice shots, and I feel comfortable.
All right, that sounds like a lovely group environment. I'm going to say congratulations once again. Thank you so much for the interview. That's it from us over here. We're heading back over to the desk.
Thank you very much, Ginny, as it is Tex who has been a rock for this squad, plus 21 in this whole series. You know, we talk about the firepower that Aspas brings, that Second brings, but Tex is just so solid throughout.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are going to be some more supportive players. They're a big name duelist in a big duelist meta will often get talked about, but it's the quiet players, the support players that they're the guys I like the most. When they start to fry, that's when teams find this next level. So full credit to Tex and the squad for bringing this one home. They will be
ఇక నేను చూస్తున్నా కూర్చొని అంతే ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్ అనిపిస్తుంది అంతే బాయ్. ఇది మనకి ఏంటంటే ఆ మ్యాచ్ ప్లేకి మనం అట్లనే బిరిపోయి చూస్తూనే ఉంటాం, ఏమైతుంది ఏమైతుంది ఏం చూడం మనం.
Some talent coming from our way. I think that it is
Crazy
important figuring out how they play and how they replicate it in the rest of the maps. And I think that one of the things that has characterized, especially the old gamers that we saw today, is how quickly they skyrocketed. They escalated their own mistakes. It's like there was no one.
मेरे को ना इनका टीम में ML का टीम में ना आसपास बंदा है ना वो अच्छा खेल रहा था.
Onto that, MIBR takes advantage of every single one of the situations. You cannot lose sight of what your goal is when you're playing against a team of this caliber.
Yeah, I mean, I think composure and experience are massive things when the pressure starts to ramp up.
Oh.
All the guys on MIBR here have been there and done that. Even if they are quite young, they really know what it's like to compete internationally. For all gamers, not had as many.
ఈ రౌండ్ చాలా క్లోజ్ ఉండే. ఫినిక్స్ తో ఇంకొక్కడు ఉన్నా కూడా అయిపోయింది అసలు. మంచి ఉంటుండే.
When we're right and when we're wrong, and this was a time where I was wrong. GRQ got his hands on the Phoenix. I was very excited to see it. Just him and the team didn't quite have the same setups and the same impact to put him in positions of success, but still, hopefully a growing moment for this young squad.
Yes, just feel the game, sit and watch. అంతే ఏం లేదు, మజాలో బస్. Esports అంటేనే అట్లా బాయ్. Esports ఇంకా నువ్వు బీజేఎంఐ చూసినప్పుడు అది ఇంకా క్రేజీ. అక్కడ మన ఫ్యాన్ సపోర్ట్ అయితే డిఫరెంట్ ఉంటుంది. ఈ గేమ్స్ చాలా తక్కువ ఉంటుంది.
When it gets scrappy, having the good enough fundamentals to be able to get that out, that's where you earn your soul. To be honest, as a good support staff, good IGLs, good leadership, developing those fundamentals, and I really feel like MIBR
एक बार अपेक्स का देखते.
With the gunfire previously, but then Team Heretic started to pressure them a little bit as well.
I think for Gen G, the path is going to be awkward, to say the least. This is Team Falcons. You can see they don't have the best of spots right now. That Gen is a little bit vulnerable. See, just trying to kind of body block it as well here. Do not want that to be taken down, because the moment that interception pylon goes down from Watson, they become susceptible to nades.
ये शील्ड से कोई टर्बाइन क्या है लींद रहा है इनका वो डैमेज पड़ा स्पॉटिंग तो देखो भाई
On the next zone close, things come a little bit differently, but Hal wants to play somewhere different. They've decided this is too uncomfortable for them to enjoy.
Yeah, whilst Falcons are very good at being comfortable in uncomfortable situations,
one down.
Got to know when to move. And they will now reposition. Again, there's a lot of teams that you have eyes on the moment, but this area is a little bit more comfortable, but suddenly Fusel's
getting involved. That's good.
Motherlode's going in as well, and Hal is back
Healing.
on his back. Yanya now. Maybe looking to overextend here, have a little look at this one himself. Whilst he's continually dragging his teammate back up, and for Falcons it's about surviving. If you can survive, then you have a chance as the zone starts to close, but are they going to be able to survive over time here?
सब जगह से पड़ रहा है फाल्कन वालों को तो एक बंदा मर गया
Once again though, and Waltz is going to have to try and drag him back again.
मर गया
Waltzy's gone down as well. It might be the end for Falcons here. It's about trying to survive, see if you can rescue any points here. Maybe one last remaining rat of Guild can get away and put points on the board. And I don't know, maybe you escape far enough, you can get the team back up. As Waltzy also will go down.
बेचारा ये भी मर गया लास्ट प्लेयर है लास्ट पकड़ो ना
Not a fun situation to be a part of.
Falcons are eliminated. Ozus with a triple take from distance does take Guild down. So Falcons, who were one of the teams inside of the top 5, now the most vulnerable to falling out of that top 5. We mentioned F-Champ finding his way in towards zone a little bit early. We saw him kind of flying past AG Global. Well, that's where the rest of TIE find themselves right now. Pinator putting out some good damage with that 30-30 repeater. Prestis is going to have to be brought back to his feet. Elsewhere, outside of zone, down in the south, JD Gaming are involved in a fight that you can see against Kirasame Havoc. That's Team Heretics. They're involved in a fight on the northern side.
Yeah, Heretics have made a heck of a rotation actually to find themselves here with Story. They're going to be holding them out as well as Gaming Gladiators. And not too long until Unlimit are also going to be arriving to this party. You are going to see in the kill feed plenty of action going down at the moment.
And he's picking up kill after kill at the moment. Unlimit safe inside of the zone after their little reign of terror on Gen G a little bit earlier on. No Name does get that finish. Shopify, Wolves, Kirasame and JD down on the southern side of the zone though. There is a lot of action and here it is on your screen. Everybody moving in at the same time and everybody looking to be the team who third. The problem is there's 4 teams.
What's better than a third party, a fourth party, but Wolves are able to escape and move to the northern side. So now there is just going to be the 3 teams competing here. And they'll be alive and kick in for a while. It's going to be a 1 minute 20.
ये गेम तो पूरा सर लेगा भाई वही भाई मैं भी वही देख रहा हूँ कि क्या-क्या चल रहा है इसमें
Shopify Rebellion now starting to have a little prod, a little poke. JDG looking a little bit vulnerable, and actually JDG engaging. And this is going to be bad news because Shopify will be able to clean this up.
I think they just don't know that Shopify is there, and Naughty's now left on his own. He's looking to get those kills confirmed to get the points on the board, but all it's going to mean is a couple of JDG. They are eliminated from the lobby. KSH still alive, but down to 2, and you would expect
अलग-अलग नाम रहते हैं अरे नाम को छोड़ो भाई उसका ना गेम का मतलब वो क्या है मतलब क्या इसको बस साइड को होल्ड करना है या तो विन करना है एंड जोन तक मेरे को तो इतना पता है कि जोन आता रहेगा जोन में कौन बचेगा वो जीतेगा सेम बीजेएमआई या पबजी जैसा और टीम्स को मारनी है पर इधर शील्ड बना रहे कुछ एक टर्बाइन लगा रहे बीच में और बंदा नॉक हुआ तो उसके हाथ में शील्ड रहता है उसको फुल किल भी नहीं कर सकते तो फुल किल भी नहीं कर सकते हम शील्ड रहता हाथ में ओनली पीछे से मार सकते हैं शील्ड आगे रखा तो शील्ड से नहीं होता अरे टेलीपोर्ट कर लिया क्या तो टेलीपोर्ट कैसे होता है भैया लोग सीधा इधर से उधर चला गया सर्वे के लिए 6 seconds ठीक है
and hit some big targets. It looks like they are. Sparrow's also down. Koiful now has to to hit the evac tower just to try and survive this zone closing behind them. Yeah, it's about getting ahead of them here. Don't have the banner of Zap, so it would have to be a
उड़ के जा रहे हैं भाई ये
There's
लोग.
not going to be a death box recovery this late as Gen G probably landing on Shopify here. Koiful's going to hold this. Koiful's on his own. Finally, it looks like the rest of Shopify are going to kind of try and walk their way up to him. Wolves are having a look at this one as well, but it's Koiful essentially is a man on
हाँ भाई कुछ भी होता है.
It's a 1v2 for Koiful. It's a 1v1 for Koiful. He'll go down though. Zone Unite trying to move in, trying to catch this fight up. He's just late to the party. It's a 1v1 still. Manages to get attacked, manages to get a little bit of information from that Sparrow, but I think the call has been made by himself or potentially from Koiful. Might be better just to avoid the zone here, play a little bit ahead. Dexter now taking a lot of damage from that.
Apex 6 मॉडर्न गेम भाई. मजा आती है समझे तो गेम को. अच्छा. नागेत पे ना भाई लगता है डार्क प्लेस गेम पे ना.
The remaining member of Gen G inside of that zone, ticking away at the damage, and then the wingman shots. Bread and butter for Zainu. 16 squads now remain. It might be going down pretty quickly though, because Flat down to one as well. Yeah, Zeddy taking some damage, but it looks like
Guard broken telling that. ना पर दिलो दिले ब्रो ना. अरे कैसे टेलीपोर्ट वाला क्या है? क्या सीन है इसका?
Zone is shifted east as now the death box recovery is going to be attempted, but there's damage coming from elsewhere. Yeah, it's going to be AG Global firing in. Those knuckle clusters trying to force them off of that box. Deeds will be able to get back. There's a rogue.
कंपाउंड के अंदर चले गए लोग. कुछ तो बुला रहा है. देना विल लिसन दे दो.
It's a no man left behind kind of character. He gets Jelly back into the game and should be able to pull him back.
अच्छा उसको रिकॉल दिया.
There's now a team approaching. And that's going to be PX.
सर रिकॉल इतने सारा.
The blood in the water. Yeah, PXX are on the hunt at the moment as well. Zeddy having to retreat.
तो रिकॉल दिया रिकॉल.
But there's still a job to be done here, and Duke can definitely output damage. Duke's a one-man army at the moment. Jen's going to go down. And finally with Duke going down, it's looking like this could be the end of the game here for Zeddy. Deeds left on his own. He's going to get swung behind these knockdowns.
Oh, मर गई.
Big team in the leaderboards falling early here. Zeddy Esports are gone and PXX are alive. Zeddy were in first position, remember, on 55.
Zeddy मर
That's
गई.
going to be the number to hunt now for all these teams who are chasing. Think of AG who are on 46. If they can rotate a little bit further east, survive, win this game.
Movement and aim gameplay మొత్తం అదే అదే.
GG, remember, still alive in 47.
క్రియేటర్ టోకెన్ కలెక్ట్ చేసుకుని ఇస్తాడు. అదే పబ్జి మొబైల్ పబ్జి పీసీ లెక్కనే. అని ఆడేందంటే రీకాల్ టవర్ కాల్ ఇడేమో ఏదో ఉండాలనుకుంటాను నాకు తెలిసి. మన దగ్గర ఒక ఎక్విప్మెంట్ ఉంటే అవుతుందేమో. ఈ లైన్స్ ఏందో ఏమో అసలు.
As Dory continue to survive and thrive behind this Newcastle wall. Trinity, they will be out next as well. Virtus Pro taking a lot of damage, but looks like they are surviving as now Zeta Division have found prime position in zone. And remember, they won the previous, and they said if they could go back to back, maybe an outside chance of also taking first place here. But they
రీకాల్ టవర్ ఉండదు దీనిలో. టాప్ ఉంటుంది ప్లస్ ప్లేయర్ క్లియర్ లో నుండి టోకెన్ దిగొచ్చుకోవాలి. అంటే అర్థమైంది వాడు పెట్ట దగ్గర పోయి ఏదో వేసిండు. కానీ దాంతో పాటు మన దగ్గర ఎక్విప్మెంట్ ఉండాలనుకుంటా అంటున్నా.
And AG Global just positioning themselves so successfully now to try and catch up those lobby leaders as PXX taken out of their lobby after being able to delete the dupe swoop a little bit earlier. As Gaming Gladiators consistent entirely throughout the day, 51 points. They are only 4 behind Zeddy, who are in first place.
Yes, equipment ఉండాలి. అచ్చా అయితే నైస్ నైస్.
Let me live my life, and that's exactly what DCG do. It looks like there's a line in the sand. They agree that you look too vulnerable.
టోకెన్ ఒకటి సరిపోదు. అచ్చా
Will fire on the cross at everybody who's trying to move from this.
ఆమో తక్కువ ఉంటుంది ఇందులో. కానీ వీళ్ళకి టోర్నమెంట్స్ వల్ల అన్లిమిటెడ్ ఇస్తారు కదా. కొన్ని గన్స్ కి అన్లిమిటెడ్ ఇచ్చారు టోర్నమెంట్ లో. ఇన్ఫినైట్ చూపిస్తుంది కదా కొన్నిట్లకి. అది కూడా కింద. వన్ డే చాలు 160 200 బుల్లెట్స్ సరిపోతాయి ఏం గేమ్ అండి. ఈవెన్ బీజిఎంఐ మేము ఆడే ఈ స్పోర్ట్స్లో కూడా మాకు అంతే ఒక 200 నుంచి 300 చాలు. ఒక 8 కొట్టి తీసుకున్నాడు వాళ్ళ.
And Stuvie just
Zone
being
close
brought back to
item.
his feet. The health is a problem. They cannot get chipped
Revive
away from
no
this
potatoes.
zone. Galari man's going to have to pop the med kit, but has he timed it well enough?
So initially it's going to be the rotation of GG, how important that is,
No,
where
no,
they
it's
end
not.
up with this zone. But it's Zeta Division and the AG we have eyes on as well as they hold prime positions
Zone war
at
hai
the moment. As GG are doing very well to eliminate that one remaining rat. They are going to take the western side here, and they are going to try and use whatever they can to create cover, and thankfully they do have a rampart.
They're not going to be safe inside the zone, though, so they're going to have to keep moving forward. Maybe they look at a hermit crab.
Knock it into.
As Lufka will slam forward. AG still controlling some of this height as well. Dory will be out of the lobby as we're down to 4. GG, AG, Unlimited,
Oh.
final 14. Look at this rotation from Zayn.
అలా ఉండదు పర్పుల్ కలర్ ఉంటే అన్లిమిటెడ్ ఆమో అదంటున్నా ఆడ అన్లిమిటెడ్ ఆమో ఉంది ఆడ ఒకటి గోల్డ్ ఎక్విప్మెంట్ ఉండాలి అచ్చా నాకు ఇచ్చిండు
Can Zeta go back to
UNL.
Will it be AG trying to take this lobby at the moment? They're on 55 points. They've just got 2
ఏజీ సేమ్ టీం ఇప్పటిక వాలరెంట్ లా ఓడిపోయిన వాళ్ళు ఒక్కడే ఉన్నాడు పాపం చచ్చిపోయాడు వాళ్ళని కొట్టకుండా ఇలా ఎందుకు కొడతాడు లాస్ట్ టీమ్ లాస్ట్ 2 టీమ్
Here's the swing. Don't want to be the team to make a mistake. Zuvi will make
knock
a mistake.
UNL knock.
Galari man 1 HP. He's going to go down as well.
Zeta ఒకటి ఉంది లాస్ట్ వన్ నాట్ పాసిబుల్ మర్గే నైస్ వన్ క్రేజీ అది బయటి ఆ పిస్టాల్ చాలా పవర్ఫుల్ అదే అదే దాంతో కొట్టి పడేస్తారు అందరు చిల్లరి ఇవే కొయ్యతో
looking at GG as winning that series, just being able to get those extra points on the board when Zayn took his final.
GG's.
There probably will be a few more. But it's all about Zeta Division, the back-to-back after a disappointing E-District. It really shows how the map changing and Legends being banned completely wipes the slate.
Adi Teki, thank you so much for your 20 rupees.
And with that back-to-back, they move from 20th to 6th position. Wow. That is a huge jump up for the gentlemen that are on your screen right now. A fantastic end to the series for them. Back-to-back feels good, regardless of what stage of the tournament it is. Most people are happy with winning one game throughout a tournament. Back-to-back feels something special.
Well, what a first series to kick off our day and to kick off the tournament here at the ALGS playoffs at EWC. Still so much more.
You're going to EWC playoffs.
And I mean, this is the first set of games that we've had in front of us. The first series, 6 games done, and already I've got to say that hairs on the arms are standing up, Dan. And I'm excited to keep casting
Gift sound చేసుకో సమోసా పంపుతా
another team who have been very impressive. AG
గిఫ్ట్ సెట్ లాంచ్ చేయాలి అది
very consistent performance from them.
అది
In the first series that we do see here on our main stage of A versus
నాకు తెలియదు అది మనం కూడా ఆన్ చేసుకోవచ్చు నాకు ఓన్లీ పెద్ద స్ట్రీమర్స్ ఏమో అనుకున్నాను
in the rotation. We've got World's Edge, we've got Olympus.
ఓన్లీ 100K ఎబో ఉన్న వాళ్ళకి ఏమో అనుకున్నాను యూట్యూబ్ స్టూడియోలో ఇస్తావు
As we move through this tournament.
I am excited for World's Edge to be back. Of course, wasn't part of this Split 1 Pro League, but now here at Split 1 Playoffs. And I am a World's Edge fan. Now, we saw AG. We know they've had an incredible storm point here as well. It really has been the teams to find their points here on this map. But in the end, it was GG
gifts
who
undi
were able to just put enough on the board. If you think about the position GG found themselves in on that western side, by the way, picking up those kills on their approach, staying alive long enough to gain extra placement points as well.
వచ్చింది ఆన్ చేసిన
And where they finished. But it was Zeta Division
On kar diya.
find themselves on that northeastern side, dominate that
G,
spot,
G,
and
G,
also
G,
not
G.
give it up, not get too excited
Well
for
played,
some of those
man.
kills that were below them.
Yeah, I was really impressed with just, I think the not making a mistake in that final moment. It's very easy to do when you see 2 teams fighting in front of you. You know someone's taking damage, and it's very tempting as a player to think, I know someone's weak, I'm going to swing in here, get the first knock, win our team the game. But sometimes you just got to play as if it's a straight 3v3 where everybody is full shields, full health, and make sure you do not make that mistake. Because the moment you make that mistake, all of a sudden things can change.
as we saw in that last game as well. Zeddy, who were leading, of course, for them in the majority of that lobby. They went out a little
Guys,
bit
double
early.
tap
They
people.
wanted to, having had a really good prio to that zone. as
Valorant
well
see bro
over
now.
before.
లేదు bro
Let's
ఇంకా
have a quick
stream
look at
end
some
చేస్తా.
change now, Jess. In the split one playoffs, we are going to
I'll
see
be ending the
huge amounts of
stream.
swings in just one game.
It also just shows, you know, you bank on one side of wall.
या तो एक Valorant देख लेते हैं.
aggressively to the other side. Even the
G2 का मैच है ना अभी. EWC full on sponsor while Lenovo.
In 7, the Americas sitting at 7-3.
I'm a super big Nongshim fan.
This
Wow.
is crazy hate.
Wow.
And crazy
Crazy
bias.
hate. Crazy, yes.
एक team तो आ गई.
Mira, 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 mira.
Look, we all love Baby Bay here. We all love Baby Bay.
Baby Bay.
My love for
Apparently,
Baby Bay.
I feel like some people,
some
Acha.
people
love
like
Baby
Baby
Bay.
Bay a little bit more than others.
Look,
Some people.
I love my region.
But
I'm here for Pacific. I'm here for the boys on Nongshim. We have to get a team in playoffs, people. And Nongshim is by far our best shot, like you say. Look, they got the only win. It was against G2. And I was impressed by them. Look, in Pacific, Nongshim have been a team. I might have doubted a little bit. I might have slept on a little bit. I think they made some mistakes. I think that they did some things with the roles that I didn't love, but they're back to normal. Dambi's back home on the Neon. X-Ross is now in that supportive second man in that secondary duelist. And I love the changes from them. I think we've seen them play very, very good Valorant here. So maybe now's the time.
Tell us about G2.
No, you disagree?
G2 అయితే crazy team నే అయితే G2 ఎప్పటికైనా
I
చూస్తున్నాడు.
understand. It was a mistake, okay?
G2 global
Two times
esports.
that G2 has gone against Nongshim. That has been both of them
మళ్ళీ
this
ఇంకేంది
year.
ఇది
We've lost, we've always
MLB
gone the
sports.
distance, but you can never count G2
తర్వాత
out.
RTX
It's
SATUL.
just Andre just,
ఇంకా మ్యాచెస్
just like
పక్కా
doing
చూస్తా.
his things. I remember the story about the previous mouse mat that he had, but I think that
Yeah.
Valen, this man here, this entire squad is the pride and joy of North America. So many times that we have believed in them, and I know that there's been some hearts that have been broken. I guess that you can say the same for Nongshim when they made certain decisions, but G2 is a team that always manages to reinvent themselves, to look for the next wave of Valorant, to just keep innovating with incredible individuals, and just always top in the Americas region. And I think, the only thing funnier,
all champions team.
all the Americas teams in playoffs.
Yes, bro.
That means we do not get any
G
Pacific.
champion team.
I'm gonna have
Okay.
such cool
RNTX भी
things to see
champion
all the
team
time.
था मतलब
Yeah, that would be
साउथ
very
एशिया
fun
में
for me,
था
but let's hope that doesn't happen. One thing I
और
want to show mine back to is,
SATUL भी
Esports.
लोकल में
They're
हुआ
in
था
the
मतलब
final
क्या
of
बोलते हैं इसका
Masters Bangkok.
इंडिया
This is
साउथ
their
एशिया
best
जीत गई
chance
थी
to
एक
lift the
बार
trophy. They looked amazing.
और
Who's the
VLT
other
है
side? It's a
वेलोसिटी
full
गेमिंग
squad of T1.
और
T1
MLB
are the
टीम है
ones who
MLB
took the
टीम तो
win.
मतलब
I will say, I think G2
वो ये
struggle
यूएस का
with
टीम है पर उनका ना क्या बोलते हैं उसका
the Koreans. I think they struggle with the style that they
कोई
bring
अंडरडॉग
out
टीम
there.
जैसे ही सोचो मतलब नया टीम जैसा ही
I know. I think
इतना
they
कास्ट
play
तो
like
उनके पास सच्ची में नहीं है इस बार आ सकता है
Both of the
देखते हैं
times that technically G2 should be the underdog coming into this encounter. I do agree. The face that we're seeing from Nongshim reminds us of the brilliance that we saw at the beginning of the year. They've been very close. They've already won against G2. In fact, they haven't lost against G2, exploiting every single one of the weaknesses. So all the changes that G2 made into their maps fell short against a Nongshim that was all through and through, better prepared.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see this Nongshim team have that return to form. The start of the year was unbelievable for them. They didn't lose a match in Pacific. They went to Santiago and they didn't lose a match. They couldn't have been better. It did take that dip in the middle though. The meta changed, the roles changed. They had to figure it out. But now I feel like they're finding their footing once again. But the thing is, it's not just Dambi on the Neon anymore. X-Ross is a fantastic second man in. I want to talk about Ivy as well.
Yeah,
This guy
he is
was
the man.
he was sensational for the team and he always
IB
is.
old
I
player,
think it's a
man.
very stacked roster.
X
that if
Crosby.
anything, it's probably slept on after a slightly disappointing Pacific.
रॉसी का और एक्सप्रोस का बहुत बार क्लिप्स बने थे
I wouldn't disagree
The
with that.
potential was there.
I wouldn't disagree.
The wings were there, and they were like, "How about not?" And it's like,
Yeah, they did kind of just go, we're amazing, let's ruin
Yeah, I mean, one of the things was like,
Even the share
Danby off of
overacting
Neon
must
that
be
he's so
soon.
good at, probably one of the best
Even
in
the
the
share
world.
first.
Some would say
The best.
the best in the world. And we'll figure it out, right? And that didn't quite work out. Now
चलो guys, मैं तो stream end कर रहा हूँ.
look fantastic. Ivy also firing off as well.
मिलते हैं कल की stream में. बहुत हो गया.
You know what it is? It's like
Night को तो stream नहीं होगा. ठीक है?
I'm
Let's
gonna
go.
make some explaining here. You said training wins, and I thought about the scene in Mulan when she has to.
कल की stream में मिलते हैं guys. ठीक है ना? अच्छा हुआ मैचेस आज. है ना? यस भाई, यस मैं जा रहा. ठीक है भाई, थैंक यू सो मच भाई आने के लिए. आते रहना ऐसे ही. मिलते हैं कल की स्ट्रीम पे. नाइट लगा तो मैं स्ट्रीम करूंगा भाई. मेरे को करना मतलब देखते. विल सी. कंफर्म तो नहीं हो. चलो ब्रो, बाय ब्रो, बाय. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर जॉइनिंग. चलो गाइस, स्ट्रीम एंडिंग. बाय टाटा. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वाचिंग. बाय.
ਵੇ ਤੂੰ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤੋਂ ਅੱਖ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਚੁਣਿਆ, ਮੇਰੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਅੱਖ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਚੁਣਿਆ. ਸਟੈਂਪ ਬੈਗ ਕਰਦੀ ਨੀ ਧੀ ਜੱਟਾਂ ਦੀ, ਵਾਲੇ ਤੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੱਕ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਹਾਂ ਚੁਣਿਆ.
ਅੱਖੀਆਂ ਬਲੋਰੀ ਅੱਖੀਆਂ, ਅੱਖੀਆਂ ਬਲੋਰੀ ਅੱਖੀਆਂ, ਅੱਖੀਆਂ ਬਲੋਰੀ ਅੱਖੀਆਂ, ਅੱਖੀਆਂ ਬਲੋਰੀ ਅੱਖੀਆਂ.
ਸੀਟਾਂ ਸਾਡਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਅਸਲੇ ਨੇ ਅੱਟਨੀ, ਪੂਰੇ ਗੈਂਗ ਨਾਲ ਲੱਦੇ ਆ ਟਰੱਕਨੀ. ਸਾਡਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਅਸਲੇ ਨੇ ਅੱਟਨੀ, ਪੂਰੇ ਗੈਂਗ ਨਾਲ ਲੱਦੇ ਆ ਟਰੱਕਨੀ.
नखरे न वो भी और सब यहाँ वाकिफ है. आंखें गुलाबी और भाई तेरा हाथिफ है. कर देंगे पानी और एक्स उसका माचे से फंसना मुझे अगर तू करे साजिश.
दस गंदे जाओगे लेना कुछ लेना तो बराबर क्योंकि मैं बोरा बोरा मंगले सारी उंगलों के नग जड़ रंगले.
ਹੌਲੇ ਹੌਲੇ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਕਰਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਤਾਂ ਨਾ ਸਕਾਂਗੇ, ਦਿਲਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਸੱਚੀਆਂ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਨਾ ਸਕਾਂਗੇ. ਐਵੇਂ ਸੱਟ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਊ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦਿਲ ਦੇ ਨਾ ਜਾਦੂ ਤੂੰ ਕਦੇ ਨਾ ਵਿਖਾਇਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਿਖਾ. ਤੂੰ ਵੀ ਕਰਿਆ ਨਾ ਕਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਰਵਾਹ, ਕੁਝ ਹੱਥ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਣਾ ਜੇ ਤੂੰ ਲੱਭੇਗੀ ਵਫਾ.
ਕੰਮ ਸੱਚੀਆਂ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਨੀ ਡੀਸ ਮਿੱਠੀ ਏ, ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਲੋਕ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਡੀਸ ਮਿੱਠੀ ਏ.
ਬੰਦੇ ਦੋ ਨੇ ਮੈਂ ਯਾਰ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਨੇ ਕੱਢੀ ਮਾਰ ਕੰਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਨੇ ਅੰਗ ਚ ਕਰਦੇ ਰੱਖੀਆਂ 12 ਬੋਰ ਨੇ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ.
ਬੈਠਿਆ ਸੁਪਰ ਚ ਖਲੀਫਾ ਸਾਰੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਕਰੇਗੀ ਤਾਰੀਫਾ. ਪ੍ਰਾਈਵੇਟ ਜੱਟ ਖੜਾ ਏ ਦੱਸ ਕੀ ਤੋਰੀ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ.
ਪੀਤੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਕਿੱਲਾ ਆ ਤੇ ਪੀਤੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਿੱਲੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਯਾਰ ਮੁੱਕਦੇ ਆ ਮਿਹਨਤਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਕਿੱਲੇ. ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲਾਡ ਕਰ ਗਈਆਂ ਠੱਗੀ ਮਾਰਦੀ ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਠੱਗਿਆ.
ਡੱਬੀ ਪਏ ਫਿਰਾਂ ਟੀਮ ਜਮਾ ਕਾਲੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ घुमा सरे आम शहर में दुनाली लेके. चक्या पूरा जिम्मा वैरियां की फ्यूनरल का खुद पहुंचा करा कफनों पर गाड़ी लेके. ऐसे है कि बुकरे दुनिया बदलो सबकी बेशुक्रे दुनिया बदलो. नी तेनू थोड़ी गंद नॉलेज मिली आ नी मिलदियां बुकरे दुनिया बदलो.
You ready? काले नेड़े अज काले